Hello and welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I am here for another live stream. Let's see, how's everyone doing today? Looks like we've already got a couple people here. Here we go. Okay, at the top we got Brady GG. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing pretty well. I spent a lot of the early day just hanging out with friends and just enjoying the dying of the Chicago River, which was the first time I've seen it. So that's why I'm wearing a lot of green, because they dyed the river, so I figured I'd dye myself a little bit. And I quite like it, actually. We got Neon Zombies here. Hello. Theo, we got one of our blue shields. And I believe we also have, yeah, Alex. Everything good, everything good. And Taco Man, who is screaming, it appears. I'm not sure entirely what. Maybe he's just excited to be here. I hope so, because I'm excited as well. We've got Some Known here. Awesome. Glad to see you back here. And Blackstone. Perfect. Hey, Alex. Alrighty. As you can see, I've been a little hard at work today trying to get a good setup for work that works here, and I think I've got some pretty good. I've got my pip here, which I'll be using to go over the music video, and I've also got a filter over it, as you can see, that will hopefully keep it from being struck down by YouTube. And if it is, then at the very least we'll be able to I'll be looking back over here just to make sure that well, YouTube isn't gonna strike it down again. Made that mistake last time. So I will be playing through this, but I'll be pausing it throughout just to talk about it, and I'll go over that in just a second. But let's see. I'm gonna close this control panel. It's not showing me anything. You guys can't see it, but it's on OBS. I don't know. I figured you guys wouldn't really care about seeing OBS over here. Let me know if you enjoy that. If you want to see OBS on here. It's something that I do in case you probably noticed for the pre-app prep, just because I thought it'd be fun. I've just been sticking with it. I think it adds a little bit of flavor to the pre-app preps. But here, I don't know if you want to see the chat within chat. Let's see, that filter looks like some odd Rorschach test. It's a little hard to see because I put a filter on the filter that OBS has. It's like a darken filter. So it's kind of hard to see the paisley pattern, but it's supposed to be the same paisley pattern that I use for the reactions, basically, for the altered reactions. But it's got this cool like dark effect, so it looks a little bit better for a dark video like this. And sorry, hold on, my ADHD is taking over. It is, oh wow, it's snowing outside. It is beautiful. I've got to say, after living in Chicago for a little bit, despite spending my whole life in California, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I can go back to living somewhere where it doesn't snow. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so great. There's nothing quite like it. All right, so I'm sure more people will trickle on in, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna explain what we're doing today and probably what we're gonna be doing going forward. I'm going to be trying to do a stream every Saturday, maybe at 4. I might push it back to 3 a little bit, just so it's a little bit earlier. We'll see, though. We'll see what people think of the times and what might be a better time for people. But basically, I'm going to be doing a stream. It'll probably be like 1 to 2 hours or so. And in order to start things off, so it just doesn't just like start quietly as I'm trying to wait for people to leave comments, I'm going to be talking about a certain topic or something or other. For this one, I'm going to be talking about Yoake no Uta, the unbelievably incredible ending of JJK, as I'm sure you're aware. So I'm not actually going to be talking about JJK. So in case for some reason you haven't seen JJK or you're not caught up, there are no spoilers. We're not going to be discussing JJK. I'm going to be strictly talking about the song and why it is one of my favorite J-pop songs, like, period. It is just that good, and I need to gush about it. So I'm going to be talking about the lyrics. I'm going to be talking about the music progression. I'm not a musician. You will see that very clearly once I start talking about it. But just like with the anime, it's just an excited fan who likes sharing what he knows about it. And just wants to share his excitement. So it's really just going to be a gushing session. And then I'm going to use my own analysis to kind of get a branching off point for comments that you guys leave, and then we'll just interact like that. I figured that's a better way to get the stream moving rather than just me sitting here quietly reading chat and waiting for something to respond to. One thing I noticed about the last stream that was on Twitch was there was a lot of awkward silences that I ended up cutting out, I think, about 15 minutes of just silence as I'm like reading chat. So hopefully this will make it a lot easier. It'll make it a lot better. And we just won't have to worry about that, because with something to talk about here, I can do my analysis. There's a lot more substance to it. And it's going to just, I don't know, I like it. I think it'll work out. And then we'll have just branching off points for discussion with plenty of comments that'll hopefully be left while I'm going over the song. So that's the general structure. And then obviously next week I'm going to find something else to talk about. Maybe I'll do the opening, or maybe I'll do Frieren, bounce it out a little bit. Though it seems most of my audience is JJK, not Frieren, because the JJK reactions get like 3 to 4 times the amount of views as Frieren. I think the biggest disparity is like 10 times the amount of views, and that was for the start of season 3. I've also got some herbal tea here that'll help soothe my throat. So I shouldn't have to do any water breaks this time. If you remember last time, I've got those, and I'm going to be keeping them in. I kept them in the VOD just because I like the water time, but yeah. Let's see. Mushishi is the Rorschach test that is the Rorschach that Theo sees. I don't know if I know what that is. That sounds familiar, but I'm blanking on that. We got Max Godard here. Hello, you're at the supermarket. Okay, well, glad you could tune in, even if it's just audio. Fairyland's here too. Hello. And I'm really excited. I'm glad there's people showing up to this one, because I'm really excited for the stream. I can't wait to talk about this. In true form of my live analyses, I did not like prepare a script or anything. It's going to kind of go in my, it's just going to kind of be off the cuff. And I'm really excited because I've been thinking about it, and I've been listening to the song today, obviously, to get ready for this. And there's so many things I want to talk about. You're not going to get a clean listening session because I'm going to be pausing it every like 15 seconds, because that's how often I have things that I'm going to want to discuss with the song. So hopefully the pausing all the time will help with copyright. And if not, then it'll just tell me. Oh, hey, Ketch is here. Welcome. Make sure to censor your stream this time. Yeah, you can see over here, I've got like this filter on it. So hopefully that'll help with the visuals. And I don't think the audio will be enough to cut the stream, because if you've probably seen I hope you've seen my reactions. I don't alter the audio at all, except now I'm starting to cut out parts that are like copyright claimed, because the audio doesn't actually give you a copyright strike. It's only the visuals for anime. Audio will give you copyright claims, which can restrict it or restrict monetization, which I don't need to worry about until I have 1,000 subscribers. You can't monetize your content until then. But in preparation for that, that's why I've started using YouTube's audio censor, just to get rid of those copyright claims, to help for A, when I'm monetized, and B, for potential limiting in the algorithm, because if it's restricted in like Russia, which is the one territory that things keep being restricted in, it probably also hurts the algorithm. But it doesn't actually give copyright strikes, so I don't really need to worry about that. So the audio should be fine here, and since I'll be pausing all the time, that's just another thing that'll be even better. Yoake no Uta hits really hard in some episodes to come, episodes 4 and 9 in particular. Oh, well, I'm about to get to episode 4, so I'm excited for that. People are really excited for episode 4, I noticed. And like the comments for episode 3 and things like that. I got this sneaking suspicion, since I know Maki was in the preview, it's probably just going to be Maki going into the Zayn clan and just wrecking shit. But if Yoake no Uta hits at the end of that one, I'm a little bit scared now. It's kind of crazy. It's been so many weeks since episode 3, but I rewatched my reaction to it just to get caught up, and I'll be recording episode 4 tomorrow. So that'll be coming out Monday or maybe Tuesday, since I've set up doing it every other day. I might break that. I might go back to the daily uploads because I'm too excited to get back into these shows, but Yeah, Frieren will be coming out Sunday. I already have that recorded and ready, and then tomorrow I'll record JJK probably for Monday, maybe Tuesday, but we'll see. Now let's see. Fairyland came for JJK to start your Frieren reactions today. Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy. I'm really enjoying Frieren. I think if I were to like put no confirmations or denials from us. Yeah, I've just got to watch episode 4 and see for myself. Yeah, with JJK and Frieren, if I were to like put like a value on my content, I would say my JJK is more valuable simply because there are less people willing to engage critically with a show like JJK. So I think my reactions have more to say there. More people would talk about what's in Frieren because it's a much more like openly discussion worthy show. So I would say my JJK reactions are more valuable than Frieren. However, I think in the actual quality of the analyses, Frieren is obviously better, right? Just because there's so much to talk about. There's so many topics that are brought up. It's perfect for my reactions. So if I had to like get rid of one of the series or the other, I would get rid of Frieren. But Frieren just does lead to better discussions because of course it does, right? It's that kind of show. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on those 2 shows, but I'm glad you're watching my Frieren reactions. There's a lot of discussions I'm really happy with, so I really hope you enjoy them. Catch, hopefully they don't nuke you this time. Yeah, we'll see. And if they do try to, they actually do give warnings, apparently. I just didn't see it because I was watching the episode when we watched the JJK Season 2 finale. So, but since here I'll be coming back to OBS, and I'll be like looking around at different stuff, I will hopefully be able to see it. Yeah, I've got my thing right here. So I'll hopefully, actually, yeah, let me go on to you can see a little behind the scenes here. Let me go to the control room so that if they tell you, hey, by the way, we're gonna kill your stream if you don't stop this, I will be able to stop this. There we go. There we go. You can see that right there. Okay, I've got 11 viewers. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, I'll be checking back in with this just to make sure they're not saying, hey, by the way, you're in trouble. Don't need that to happen again. Good Lord. Max Godard, to me, Frieren is very close to perfection. Honestly, I completely agree. I've just been at a loss for words every single episode trying to like find something to critique. I just haven't found like anything. There are a couple different shots that I don't really like. One that comes to mind is one where they're like walking down a stairs in like episode 11 or 12 or something like that. And it looks really weird when they're walking. It's just really awkward. But other than little tiny things like that, tiny like direction or animation gripes, there's so little I can say about Frieren that isn't good about it. It's just incredible in like every conceivable way. And I've heard it, I've heard it's really good before I started it. Excuse me. So I shouldn't be surprised saying it's like near perfect, but it really is close to perfection. It just is that good. Let me change this a little bit. Okay. There we go. I've been watching Gachiakuta, but Frieren is next. Voted for Gachiakuta in the poll as well. Yeah, it's doing pretty well. Yeah, I'll close the poll at the end of this, or in a week from now. I'll be closing it next Saturday, I think, or I'll probably actually just close it on March 31st. Just have it be a March poll, basically. February and March poll. It's been open for quite a while. But I've been really surprised by the results. I will tell you, there is one show that is like winning by leaps and bounds. And I haven't counted the bonus points for Patreon. Bonus points if you want to join Patreon. It's listed on the different tiers, but I haven't counted those bonus points yet. And I think a lot of people haven't of who are on Patreon haven't told me what they voted, so I can't count them until they tell me. I'll probably make a post on that for Patreon reminding people. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be a landslide victory for one of the shows. I won't tell you which one, obviously, but it's very surprising and I'm really excited because it is a show that I think I'm going to love, just because of my like academic background. And there's a little hint for you. Okay, so 4:17, we're about 15, 17 minutes into the stream. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think I've given plenty of time for people to trickle on in. So for those of you who are new and didn't hear the spiel, I'm just going to go over it really quickly. I'm going to be going over the music video here simply because it has the English lyrics. I think I'm going to be going through it 2 times. One time to talk about the music, and then the second time I'm basically going to go line by line and talk about the lyrics because there's so much to discuss and break down and analyze and talk about. It's exactly as the title of the stream says. It is multi-layered perfection, brilliance, and I need to talk about it. So we're going to go ahead and hop into it. I'm going to hop into it in a sec. I'm going to be pausing it all the time to talk about it, and so hopefully copyright won't obliterate me. So sorry if you're like hoping to like listen to this thing beginning to end. I'm not going to give you that. There's simply too much to say. But anyways, with all that out of the way, we're just going to hop into it. This is Yoake no Ta, JJK's latest ED. Let me turn this up so I can enjoy it more. So already I'm going to pause it. See, I told you I'm going to pause it all the time because there's too much to talk about. The start of the song is incredible. It's the descending notes of the piano and like the heaviness of each note. It really sets the scene for this, right? It sets the scene perfectly. The descending notes, obviously, you can tell it's not a happy song. It's a very heavy, very dark, very somber song, but it's also a little ambiguous. You're not sure if it's going to be a song about like a sad, depressing song or if it's going to be a creepy song. You can't quite tell. It's in that minor key, but it's slightly ambiguous just with the heavy feeling that you know there is. And it lingers in that for like around 7 seconds before the vocals kick in. So you're left kind of wondering, like, what exactly am I getting myself into with these descending heavy piano notes? But then as soon as the vocals come in, I mean, it speaks for itself, right? As soon as the vocals come in, like that ambiguity is gone because Joji's voice it's sorrowful, right? It's not depressed, but it feels like it's very airy, like nasally almost. It feels like somebody is out of breath. They are tired and they are just trying to keep pressing. It's got that heavy, it's not very open, you know? It's not very airy. It is airy, but it's not very open. He's not like projecting. It's almost like his voice is about to peter out, like he's tired, right? Like listen to this. The way his voice like peters out at the end of each line, it just, I mean, it's perfect for Yuji, right? I'm not going to be talking about JJK much here. This is mainly just going to be the song as it is, but it's perfect. It is heavy. It's depressing. It's depressed. It feels like the dark night of the soul, which Yuji is in right now. For those of you who aren't aware, the dark night of the soul is a reference to several different things. A lot of times it's used in a religious context, but for storytellers like me, the dark night of the soul is used to refer to a moment within the archetypal hero's journey. Basically, it's often like before or even during the climax, it is the lowest moment, the lowest point for the protagonist, for the hero. It's the moment when all hope seems lost and they basically need to redefine themselves. They need to rewrite themselves in order to get through this challenge that they cannot overcome. That is the dark night of the soul in storytelling context. And this song really is that, right? And Dawn fits that perfectly because it's darkest before the dawn, right? So the way this song has this descending notes, this petering out, weak, tired voice, it really encapsulates that feeling of just trying to move forward when there's like nothing. And then the second part of the verse hits, right? And suddenly you've got this harmonization, this heavy echoing, and you've also got this, I think it's an organ playing in the background. It really creates that feeling of, it kind of brings in that creepiness, right? I mentioned that the ambiguity between whether it's a creepy or sad song kind of disappears, but here it kind of brings them both in. It kind of feels like you're wandering around lost in a forest, right? In a foggy forest, the foggy forest of your heart, where you're depressed, you've lost everything, you're in despair, but it's haunting, right? It's a haunting reverberating of his own voice, creating this beautiful harmony that just sounds really good, but it's unsettling. It makes you feel like something bad's about to happen. And the way his voice like goes up and down and up and down, it's like waves. It really creates the image like you just plunged into the ocean and you're slowly sinking, right? Feels like you're just slowly sinking under the waves. Oh, I'm looking at the lyrics. I can't wait to talk about them, but that's for the second rewatch. And then we get to here, right? So we get this waving is finding this slowly sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. This heaviness as his voice is just trying to make a stand, but then something changes. It opens up a little bit, right? It's not fully open. And if you know the song, you probably do. You know where this is going. You know it's going to. But for this chorus, it's completely different. There's none of that, like, there's none of those descending notes. There's several more instruments joining, not just the piano and the organ. The harmonization is gone. It feels like after he's sinking into the ocean, suddenly he stops. He catches himself. A little bit of buoyancy happens, and he tries to get back up. Joji or Yuji or whoever you want to describe with this song, maybe even you. It's almost a feeling of futile optimism. Like, if you've dealt with depression or if you've dealt with despair, if you're familiar with despair, you've had it in your life, you probably know the feeling of trying to recover, trying to get back up, of trying to... Uh-oh, hold on. Can't hear the audio. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm glad I checked this. Is it not showing up in here? You guys not getting it? Gotta interrupt my thought real quick. I can't not give you any of the song. Let me see. Is it... It should be working. The pip is showing, but the audio's not. Huh. How strange. On my OBS is showing the audio for the screen capture. I wonder why it's not showing on here. No audio for the song. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. How are you supposed to know what I'm talking about if you don't have it playing here? I mean, I guess you can always sync it up on your own, but... Huh. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm not sure how to fix that. No worries, I have it in my soul. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. I guess we're just not gonna have the audio. I don't know why it's not showing up, but yeah, just pull it up on your own if you want to. Maybe when I'm editing this stream, I'll just add it in laterwards, but I thought it was over copyright. I mean, it could be a auto muting on YouTube's end, which would be really interesting. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know how to bring it back, so assassinate it preemptively. I don't speak the language, but I could probably sing it. Honestly, same. Yeah, I've listened to it so many times. So great. Curse, you say. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna continue it then. I'm sorry there's no audio. If you have it on your side, feel free to play it. I'm at 57 seconds right now. Well, actually no, because I'm gonna be pausing it. I'm sorry. You're just not gonna get the audio. So I'll keep talking about it. That's annoying. I'm gonna be talking about stuff you're not even gonna be able to hear it. Yeah, hopefully you've watched the music video so you can like play the part that's in the song, and I'll be talking about where I am. So yeah, sorry about that. All right. I'm going to continue anyways. It'll be better when I'm going through the lyrics, but... So, we're at the chorus, right? And it starts opening up. We get more instrumentals. We get this kind of open feeling, and he's trying to rise and go down, rise and go down. If you're familiar with... If you've been in despair, if you've faced depression, you'd know the feeling of trying to rise up, but falling back down, but always getting sold off. If you know the stock market, it's... When you're in a bear market, stocks are going down, people try to buy it up, but every high gets sold into and it goes even lower. And you can hear it in his vocals, right? You guys can't hear it, but the way his voice goes, da 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 da, right? It goes the high, and then it goes back down, and then it goes high, and then it goes back down. And it just keeps going down, and I sing that terribly because I'm a terrible singer, but it's trying to open up, but it's still like drowning in this heaviness. But still his voice is trying to reach up. He's trying to keep moving forward. And I'll talk about the lyrics later, but it's this feeling of emptiness, this cold determination that Yuji finds perfectly. And it's just perfect. And then right as it gets into the bridge, you hear just a little bit of a guitar, an electric guitar playing. There's this hints of more, right? Of that old life before everything was gone. And then we get into the second verse, where the organs, I'm pretty sure those are organs, are just playing full force, right? You can barely hear anything else besides him and the organs playing. This feeling of just despair. Then the children's voice coming in. It's kind of this creepy feeling. Children tend to do that, but it's also this, it's almost infantile, right? I guess I don't really need to pause it anymore since I don't need to worry about talking over it so you guys can't hear it, but it's such an unusual verse, right? It's slightly different from the first one. This song very much has a different structure from the most, where it's like verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus 2, right? And then chorus 3, bridge, chorus 3. The two verses are pretty distinct. It's really just one full experience. It's not, the TV version isn't just the song chopped down. It actually loses a lot because this song is an experience. It's a lot more than just verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It is verse, chorus, but it's so much more because each verse, the two verses are different from each other. The two choruses are quite different from each other. And then it just peters out. And everything cuts out but his voice and the piano, just like the start, right? Just like how we started with just him and the piano. Well, we started with the piano, but it's cold, right? It's hollow. It's sorrowful. And yet his voice, still trying to peter out, is trying to find its strength as we get into this bridge. Oh, and the grittiness in it. It's perfect. Like, it's the feeling of being stuck in mud and trying to claw your way through it, right? Trying to claw your way out of this horrible, dark place you're in. And then you see it in the lyrics, he starts to find his hope. He starts to find, even if no one wants me to, I'll keep living. Perfect for Yuji, right? And then the strings are coming in and they're getting more and more frantic. It's picking up pace. If you're stuck in that mud, you're trying to get to your feet. And then you get into the final chorus, right? If you know the song, you know what I'm talking about. The harmonization comes back, similar to the first verse, but completely different. This isn't like a hollow reverberation as a harmony. This is a powerful resonance, right? On the way the instruments cut out and everything comes out right here. And then everything comes full force. Percussion, we've got the drums, we've got the guitar, and his voice is stronger, right? And the fact that, again, I was talking about the highs, it goes down, the highs goes down, the highs goes down. The fact that here, when he's going da 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 da, he holds it, he goes up, and then he holds it, right? The whole point of the problem with the despair, the issue is that every time he tried to get up, he would fall back down. So the fact that he goes up, reaches that new high note, and then sustains it, and then goes down just a little bit, but still sustains it. It's so perfect. Someone who's struggled with depression a lot throughout his life, I know this feeling of, like, it seems like for a day or two, you pull something together, you rise up, and for just a little bit, you're able to hold it. And it feels like depression is not taking it away from you because you continue to fight. Oh, it's such a great song of not triumph, but of seeking triumph, of finding that determination, not the cold determination, the cynical determination that a lot of shows like are kind of dwelling in, that's really big in the modern day, but a real determination, a light, right? A warm determination. Not even warm, fierce, it's hot, it's an inferno. And then we get into the final part of the song. That's my horrible recreation for it, so you can hear what I'm talking about. This part is so great, right? It's so triumphant. And it's especially great because it stands in contrast to itself. This part of where the notes are going higher, da 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 da, right? It's high, rising, 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 in perfect contrast to the beginning of the song, whereas those descending piano notes. Now he's rising, and not only is he rising, when he reaches that high point of this rising note, he sustains it and cuts out. And the instrumentals create a great finish to it. That's perfect, right? His vocals don't come back down to like finish off the song, to give you a nice little end to it. It literally ends on a high note. Because as I was saying, with the high notes going back down throughout the first chorus, that's not happening anymore. He's only rising and he's holding it. And we end the song holding it. It's such a great, powerful message, and a song just about, again, not triumph, but about facing this despair and continuing to walk forward. And when we get to talk about the lyrics, but I'll mention it briefly here, near the end of the song, he says it himself, the dawn is arriving, but the fog still hasn't lifted. Nevertheless, right? He's going to keep going. He's going to keep pushing. He's going to keep trying. And it's perfect. It is a full experience in less than 3.5 minutes of being in the dark night of the soul and dragging yourself forward, continuing to go forward, first with cold determination, then with a raging inferno of determination. Come on, that's perfect, right? It's brilliant. It's absolutely stunning. And yeah, that's my completely unprofessional, unexperienced breakdown of the musical brilliance of the song. Now, I am going to go through again and go through the lyrics because there's so many things I want to talk about. But before that, let me just check out the comments real quick, see what's going on in here. I was literally hearing it in my soul while you talked, Max. We have total level delusion here. We don't need audio. I can hear Adrian Takada-chan whispering the song in my ear. Yes, Theo. Yes. I will be with you even in your dreams. Well, I guess those were probably nightmares, but definitely very Yuji. It's like he's chained to an anchor in a pool. Every time he nearly reaches the surface, the anchor gets heavier. Suddenly it pulls him right back down. Exactly, Ketch. Exactly. You're trying to surface, right? Another metaphor you could use is like you're in the waves, right? You're trying to surface, But as soon as you feel like you get a breath of fresh air, a wave comes crashing down and you're tossed right back under. But he keeps going, right? And in the final chorus, he actually is able to sustain it, which is why it's such a triumphant, beautiful moment. It's funny how most people in the JJK community imagine things that don't exist. Well, it's very apropos for the show, Alex. I think we can all agree with that. I have memories of me and Yuji being depressed together with this playing in the back, creating more of those as we speak. Some known, yeah. I mean, they say misery loves company, right? And often that's used to describe how if people are miserable, they'll try to drag other people down, right? They'll try to make other people feel bad. Misery loves company. But I prefer looking at it in a more optimistic sense. Excuse me. I feel like the misery loves company that I appreciate, that I love, is the feeling that when you are all miserable, and I had this a lot in the Marine Corps, you can be miserable together, right? And that makes the misery a little less miserable. Happiness is not zero sum, but neither is comfort. You can both, if two people are really sad, then they can come together and they can take solace in each other being together, right? Misery loves company, and people in misery also love company, who may also be in misery. In fact, oftentimes, if you're in misery, then somebody being happy will only drive the knife in deeper. So sometimes that's even bad. It feels even more comforting to be with other people in misery. So yeah, some known, you and Yuji being depressed together with this playing in the back is perfect. You can take solace in each other's misery, right? Some known, I love how disconnected the discussion has become from Adri's talking about Shrek Get on track. I'm just monologuing about the song. Everyone's just talking about delusions and stuff. I mean, that's fine. Obviously, you guys don't have to talk about this stuff, but I think there's going to be a lot more interesting things to talk about once we get to the lyrics, because that's when like the full Adri Gregan mode comes on, right? Because I'm going to be talking about just all the like themes in the song. Oh, Lista chicks, welcome. Glad you can make it. Now, Twitch mods have sword icon, YouTube mods have shield. I never really thought about that before. That is pretty funny. Theo, the audio is somewhat important to feel something. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really wish I could have the audio here, especially since like I wasn't just playing it through. But I mean, if you really want to, when you're like watching this back, if you rewatch the stream when it becomes a VOD, you can pull up the music video yourself and just watch how it's happening on my stream and just pause it, play it if you really want to. It's really inconvenient though. You're probably not going to. I wish I knew what was going on there. It's showing up on my end, but not on yours. I don't know why. I can recognize exactly what scene that profile picture is from. This chick's even with how small and blurry it is on my screen. I can't see it. It's a little too small for me. I can see it's UG, but turns out being delusional makes you delusional. Exactly. Some known words to live by. Words of wisdom. I wonder, seeing as I'd say this song is very much about Yuji, I wonder where we place the song in the timeline of the show. I guess it's continuous to the entire show. I think this song goes, well, I don't know quite yet. I'm presuming this song is here because Yuji is going through his dark night of the soul, which he kind of is after the Shibuya incident. It's the lowest point, right? So, I mean, having not seen like any of season 3, I've only seen a quarter of it, the first 3 episodes. He's not quite there, but I feel like this song is very fitting for season 3. It's very fitting for the Dark Night of the Soul, the moment where he starts with that cold determination, right? And in the visuals of the ED itself, you see at first the bloodied hand curls into a fist, and then a little bit it opens back up. So I'm really hoping that by the end of this first core, Yuji starts to open back up, and he decides that his cold determination is not as powerful and not as necessary as a fiery determination, as a willingness to get hurt, right? And the song, again, we'll go further in the lyrics, but there are things I can never lose. So I really hope he gets there, and I really hope we get the Dark Night of the Soul, and we get the end of that, the dawn, where he starts to try to open back up. And if that is the case, then yeah, I would say that's where I'd say the song is placed perfectly. But even if not, then the first half's still perfect because he's still in that darkness, right? Okay, my herbal tea is working to varying success. Alex, ooh. The harmony uses a melodic duality that reflects Yuji's emotional instability as the center of the song. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I love how the different parts of the song use the harmony differently, right? The harmonizing with the reverberation of his voice. In the first verse, it's like, it's frightening, it's ominous, but in the last chorus, it's triumphant, it's proud. It's great. And yeah, it's just such a brilliant song in so many more ways than I have the words for, because I am not a musical analyst. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. The mist as a metaphor for being lost, yeah. Well, indeed, the song stands out for its gradual growth, starting in a minimalist way and adding layers until it reaches an epic feeling towards the end, yeah. And it's not just a straight line, right? Because no true journey is. It tries to go higher and then it peters out. It tries to go up and then it falls back down. Like the first chorus going into the second verse, right? He falls back down. Then he tries to bring it back up and then he triumphantly rises. It's great. It doesn't go in a straight line, but it demonstrates the determination to get out of that rut, to rise back up despite the despair that has completely crushed you. Let's hope Yuji has that final feeling. Exactly. I truly do. I truly do. And like, it's hard, right? Because he's not going to have a happy ending. There's pretty much no timeline where he survives the end of the show. But that doesn't mean he can't have a happy ending, right? If you've seen MHA the final season, I won't spoil it, but there were some critiques that the way that the villains' stories ended kind of goes in contrast to the desire to save them. But you can die and still be saved, right? Everyone dies. Not every death is tragic. Some deaths are happy, a proper death, right? Going back to JJK. So even if Yuji does die at the end of the show, he can still reach that triumphant final feeling, right, of the song. He can still reach the moment where he decides to burn out. He decides to go out in a blaze of glory, not of hatred, but of strength, of determination to save the people close to him and to keep them close to his heart. He can die, but still reach the end of the song. So I really hope he does. I really do. Yeah, misery loves company can mean a lot of different things to different people. Yeah, which is what makes a great quote, right? It's not just vague for the sake of vague, but it has very many different specific, particular meanings that you can take from it, which is emblematic of a great quote. Some note, I don't think I will ever visit Missouri, though. I don't think so, either. I probably won't either. I've taken a binding vow. My discussion will be better once we talk about the lyrics. I sacrifice early cohesion for gain an IQ. It's that give and take of JJK, of Jujutsu, right? You're sacrificing some now for more later, which we'll get into in just a second. Both Genes here to decipher the lyrics. Yuji is my son, and he very much needs a lot of therapy before that dawn. He saw his body killing people with his hands. It's quite the metaphor. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've talked about it in my ED analysis, and I won't analyze the visuals during this stream. I don't think we'll have time for it. But, and also, I just don't want to repeat myself. I've already gone for it. And the people here, you've probably already seen my discussion of it. But the fact that the hands are the agents of change, right? They are your agents of change. They are what you use to affect the world, to alter the world, to change the world. And that's what's so unique about humans that most other creatures do not have. So the fact that his agents of change in the ED are just blood red, he's got a lot of blood on his hands. And you can play the blame game till the sun sets. Physically, his body was what caused that to happen. So yeah, it's very understandable that he's in this darkness, but you can justify negative feelings till the sun sets, right? Anyone can justify why they're depressed, why they're anxious, why they're miserable. But justifying it doesn't mean you need to continue it. Just because you have a reason for being depressed doesn't negate the desire or the worthiness of fighting against it and of rising despite it, right? So yeah, he's justified, but he can still face it and confront it and try to rise above it. It's so much easier said than done, but that's what makes it worth doing, right? Because it's not easy. Ooh, Nan Zombies is an expert in terms of music theory. Terrible at teaching or explaining it in a way that's digestible for others. Well, feel free to leave comments about how wrong I was about everything. Oh, that's not a descending scale. That's actually just ascending. I hope I didn't get at least that much wrong, but yeah, if you do have thoughts about this song, feel free to be terrible teaching or explaining it. Try to do it anyways. I would love to see it on here. I would love to get a more experienced ear describing why we love this song so much, why it's so incredible. Yuji's mentality is like Spider-Man, but without powers, without plot armor. Yeah, your friendly neighborhood sorcerer. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go through this again. Let's get to the part that I'm sure you all have been really waiting for, the lyrics. Actually, y'all can't hear it, so I'm just gonna keep the volume up. And we're just going to go through this basically line by line. In the darkening days, a single shadow is getting flustered. Without a place to belong. A single shadow, I mean, already is hitting you with some really interesting, strong visuals, right? The darkening days, this is like the dusk. The shadow is losing places to belong because the whole world is getting dark. Shadows only exist in the light, right? That's a really interesting, unusual visual. The implication that you are that shadow. I suppose you are the darkness within you, the heaviness that you're carrying, that you've experienced. It seems like the entire world is just enveloping you and you're losing your sense of identity. It looked pathetic, as if begging for forgiveness. I mean, speaks for itself, right? Planted seeds begin to bloom, and then the song opens up as the seeds bloom. You are growing colder. Outstretched palm cuts through the sky. Again, referring to my analysis of the ED, right, where his hand opens up again. That's, again, just such a powerful visual of trying to reach out, trying to have some hope, and practically breaking the world, cutting through the sky. It also makes me think of Sukuna a little bit with his like slashing, trying to do good but doing harm. Can't we go back? Surging waves swallowing me. Again, the visual of the waves. And then we get to the first really interesting part of the line of the song. I move forward while destroying the future. This is tough. This is a really tough line. This is the first line that like grounded me when I was listening to this and watching it. There are many different angles you can read this line from, right? In JJK, obviously, Yuji is deciding to live despite having Sukuna in him, and as he continues to live, his very existence is damning people, and we saw it in the Shibuya incident. Sukuna is killing people with his body because he chose to live. He's destroying the futures of many people. You could argue he's destroying the future of the world by changing the course of it, by allowing Sukuna to exist in it. And yet he just has to keep moving forward. Otherwise, I'm nothing more than a murderer, right? That's the literal interpretation of this line from Yuji. But personally, I also resonate with this line. And I think anyone who has a issue with self-esteem, with kind of self-hatred, self-loathing, I think most of us can relate to this line to a degree. The feeling that I'm continuing to live, I'm continuing to move forward, but I am doing more harm than good. Oh, people who spend their time with me could be spending their time somewhere else. Yeah, I'm destroying the future by giving them a worse time than if I weren't around. Oh, my videos aren't as good as someone else's. They could be watching something else. I'm destroying their future. Melodramatic in that sense, but... Or if you have a job like you're a soldier, you're destroying people's future, you're killing people. If maybe you're a stock trader, you're and you're selling stocks and crashing the stock market, you're destroying the future, right? It's such a widely applicable phrase that always harkens back to the feeling of, I don't deserve to live, but I can't afford to die. It's tough. It's really tough. Because it's so easy for your brain to justify it, right? It's so easy to see the faults of yourself. Oh, I'm not good at talking to people. Oh, I don't have any specific talents. Oh, I don't do much with my life. I am not worthwhile. It's so easy to see these flaws that it's frankly amazing that some people don't have self-esteem issues, right? There's so many, again, those justifications. It doesn't mean you should accept them, but it doesn't do us any favors to reject them either, to pretend they're not there. So this feeling of destroying the future, yeah, it's tough. And yet there's also the feeling that you are moving forward, right? You are choosing to live. And we see that later in the song here. Will the end ever come? Which is a bit of a contrarian of a line. It's a bit of a contrary line, isn't it? Which, again, really fits mental health. I move forward, even though I'm doing harm. I want it to end, but I'm choosing to have it continue. If you look at Yuji, it's very literal, right? At any point, he could kill himself. I guess Sukuna could use that pact where he takes over. He could try to do that, but realistically, Yuji could try to kill himself at any point. He could have somebody else tell somebody else to kill him. He could bring about the end. And he wants it to end, but he can't. He feels like he can't. And if you've dealt with ideation, trying not to get YouTube on my butt for it, if you've dealt with ideation, SI, there is those contrary feelings, right? Those conflicting feelings. I really want it to end, but I don't want it to end. I want to keep living. I really want it to end because the reason why it seems contrary is because the end is not actually the end of your life. For most people, at least, the end isn't referring to their life. They don't want their life to end. They want the suffering to end. They want their insufficiency to end. They want the parts of them they hate to end. They want the parts of the world they hate to end. It's just that for people with SI, with ideation, it's the easiest and, to a lot of people, the only way the end can come is by ending the life. Because you can't just shut down a part of you don't like. You can't just do that. You can't go into your coding and change it. So you live with that. You live with that contradiction. I'm continuing to live. I want it to end. And it's really, really tough. It's a big reason why I was in the hospital, because eventually those two are constantly fighting for control, right? Wanting to live and wanting the pain to end, wanting the parts of life I hate to end. And they're constantly fighting for control. And if at any point the latter goes above and takes control, that's when it becomes an issue. But it's not actually the life that you want to end. It's the parts of it you don't like, the suffering, the insufficiency, like I said. And that's why that contradiction exists, which is brutal. And then we get to the cold determination part. And I love this verse. I love how well it encapsulates the feeling of things ending, or not of things ending, but of moving forward, even though you don't feel like you deserve it. The cold determination, there's no better way for it. Even if I get shattered, torn apart, and scattered in disgrace, I fear nothing, because I'm already empty anyways. I have nothing left to lose. I've lost everything. He says this later, but I can keep moving forward without fear because there's nothing in me, because I don't feel things anymore. It's exactly what Yuji felt at the end of season 2, right? So when the end arrives, make sure to extinguish this light. I don't want anything anymore because I'm afraid of losing again. And it's with this line that the truth starts to come out, right? What I was talking about before. The end isn't actually the end of your life. That's not what you want when you have ideation. But it masks what you really want, what you're afraid of putting into attention, what you're afraid of confronting. Yuji doesn't actually want his life to end. He wants the fact that he's a danger to the world to end. He wants the fear that he's going to lose people. He wants losing people to end, right? It's not his life explicitly that isn't worthwhile. That is what he hates. It's the things that comes with it. Losing people, killing people. That's what he's afraid of. And you see it here. I feel empty, not because I can't feel things, but because I have shut off the emotions that feel things, because when I feel things, I feel pain, right? If you are susceptible to feeling, you are susceptible to feeling pain. You can't have it part way. All or nothing is it's a bad habit that people get into. It's a common issue, but when it comes to like feeling, when it comes to what you feel, it is all or nothing, right? You can't selectively choose what things you feel. So when your fear of negative emotions is too strong, your brain just shuts off all feeling. And that's when you get apathetic. That's when you lose interest in things with depression, right? Your brain, in order to protect you, has shut off these emotions because it knows how horrible those negative emotions are. So the same thing applies to losing people. I'm afraid to lose people, so I won't get close to people. That's why a lot of people are closed off, right? In the real world, we close ourselves off to other people because we are afraid of those connections, because when you make connections, you can lose connections. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but if you don't take any shots, you technically never miss. If you never get in a relationship, you'll never have to deal with a breakup, right? It's sad, but it's a defense system, and it makes sense. And again, that's what's so insidious about this mental health, right? About these issues. They make sense on paper. They make enough sense to trap you and to pull you down. They're not fully sensible. To go back to what I said earlier about noticing the flaws of yourself, notice how you do that far more than you do with other people. You're biased, right? So it makes enough sense to trap you in the narrative. But once you actually start analyzing and breaking it down, the flaws appear and the fallacies appear. It's just hard to feel them because you are living in the biased brain that you're trying to analyze, right? Now, before we get into the second verse, I'm just going to take a look at the comments over here. Let's see what we've got over here. I wonder how good the Genius translation is. I have it up while listening here. Okay, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, as you can see, I'm using the actual music video by Joji, so it's got the lyrics, and it's pretty good. Alex, I'm sure will bring it up if there's like a translation that's not very good. I'm sure he'll be hop on it, but from what I can hear, it fits pretty darn well. Was just about to talk about the slash in the sky being like Skinner, and the goat says the same thing. Great minds think alike, right? While murdering thousands of people against one should still be unfamiliar to most, the guilt of living is quite familiar to many. Exactly. It's hard not to feel guilty living, right? Whether it's personal, like your own shortcomings, or whether it's on a species level. Humanity kind of sucks, right? We find ourselves gravitating to villains who want to cull humanity for the sake of the world because it's sort of difficult to argue with that, right? It's hard to argue that we are like a plague upon the world. And we are harming people, right? We are harming other species. We are doing harm. So again, there's just enough justification that it makes enough sense. But it's a fallacy. It's hiding all the good things, right? It's hiding all the good things humans do, all the good creations. But it makes enough sense to believe. So yeah, the guilt of living is so familiar to so many people, I'm sure, and some people who probably aren't even aware of it. Because these things can be subconscious, right? And to a lot of people, they are. Our actions cause more than we see in front of us. Every time we spend money, we are participating in the harmful system that exists. It's hard to cope with. Yeah. That's a great point, Catch. I think most of us can agree here. Capitalism is kind of awful, right? It's kind of really, really awful. It's kind of like one of the worst things humanity has ever created, but it's really good for society, right? So capitalism is really good for society. It makes things go flying. It makes progress go insane. It makes technology go crazy. Capitalism is really great. It's so great, it almost makes you forget how awful it is and how the better capitalism gets, the more people suffer, because it has to be built upon the suffering of others. It has to be built upon the labor of other people. And the better lives we give those laborers, the worse capitalism is, because the less profit it makes. Capitalism is a profit machine, obviously. That's why it's so successful. But it's built on the backs that we're breaking of these laborers. And we're participating in it, right? Us participating in this world is us participating in this harmful society. So then the guilt goes both ways. The guilt of triple ways. On a humanity level, we're destroying the world. Not really. We're once we create an ecological disaster that wipes out humans, Earth is going to be just fine. It's just going to wipe us out and probably a lot of species. But the Earth is going to be just fine. We're not actually destroying the world. We're destroying a habitable world. But on humanity's level, yeah, humanity sucks. Guilt of living as a species. Society level, capitalism sucks. Guilt of living in society. On a personal level, we are participating in this horrible society, so we're terrible. So there's so many layers of we suck. So yeah, it's frankly amazing some people don't have guilt of living. I think that's better. You probably shouldn't, but I'll say it over and over again, ad nauseum. It makes enough sense. And that's what's so insidious. I'd argue with calling soldiers and stock marketing as jobs. Yeah, I guess sort of. But I mean, some people do have stocks, trade stocks for a living as a job. And there's a whole difference if you like go on it. For soldiers, I guess, I mean, if military is sort of job, I guess it's less of a job and more of a lifestyle. Within the military, whatever your MOS is, your occupation specialty, that can be your job. But yeah, that's a good point. It's a little bit reductive to call the military a job. List checks, Adery or Gregan, I don't know. Call me whichever you like. Do you think if Gojo wasn't so headstrong and just followed orders, things wouldn't be so fucked up now? No. No, and I don't think there's much use in wondering about that. If you've watched my Frieren stuff, you've probably seen my opinion on regret. I don't like it. I have the same opinion towards what ifs. What if Yuji hadn't chosen this? What if Yuta was sentenced to execution, or actually executed? What if Gojo wasn't born with 6 eyes? What if my camera stopped working? Hold on. Just gonna unplug that. Plug that back in. 1 second. Are you back? Desk view camera, iPhone camera. There we go. Perfect. But there's no point, right? What ifs cannot be properly explored because there's too much, right? There's just too much. There are too many little parts. Take this out because I don't need this anymore. There are too many aspects of of life, too many ripples that would happen that leave any what if, any hypothetical, basically toothless, meaningless. Let me go to your point. What if Gojo wasn't just followed orders? Okay, what if somebody else came up who was like Gojo and decided to not follow orders? Then things would be different, right? They might still be fucked up. There's no point in playing these what if games because you can't see everything towards the end. You can't see this what if and then see every single ripple out into the world. And even if you could, like, it's just pointless. The world is how it is, whether it's reality or fiction. And I like the idea of what ifs. Hypotheticals are sometimes fun, but if you're actually like trying to look for a world, and especially if you're dealing with mental health and you're saying, what if I'd done this? There's no point. There's no point. It will always be a rubber band ball of fallacies that your brain puts together to make it make sense, because it just won't, you know? Also, the show would be a lot more boring if Gojo just followed orders, so. While reading the lyrics Without a Place to Belong, I can't help but think about something I heard someone say. The fact that Yuji was never really meant to exist and the world hates him for it. Yeah. Yeah. Yuji was never really meant to exist. I mean, that depends, right? What do you mean by that? Do you mean the part where he was supposed to be executed? Do you mean the part where he was probably only born because of brain? Kenjaku? Kenny? What do you mean by wasn't really meant to exist? Can you say anyone wasn't really meant to exist? Can you say anyone was meant to not exist? Anyone was meant to exist? There's a line in a song that I really like. I'm blanking on what the song is right now, but it goes, you were born so that somebody like you could exist. The reason you were born was so the person that is you, the unique personality that is you, could exist in the world. I'm remembering, it's a song called Who I Am by Miwa. It's a beautiful song, I love it, but I love that sentiment. There is nobody just like you. There is no personality like you. There is no person like you. There never has been and never will be. We are snowflakes, right? We're little snowflakes. We're liberal snowflakes. No. But we are, right? We are all slightly different. But different enough that we are all unique individuals. We will never be iterated exactly in the history of the universe. So what's wrong with taking the idea that you were born so that somebody like you, so that you could exist, so that somebody with your exact personality could exist? That's the meaning of life. That's the reason you were born. Beyond that, I don't think you can say if somebody was or wasn't meant to exist. And if you're religious, then you could take a different look on it. But I don't think so. From my perspective, nobody is meant to exist. Nobody is not meant to exist. Everyone exists as a way for the universe to explore itself and to find something else. That's another sentiment I really like. Some of you may have heard the quote before that humanity is the universe exploring itself, experiencing itself. That's what it is. We are the universe experiencing itself. But the twist on that quote that I really like, and I got this from Vsauce, Michael here, is that we are not the universe experiencing itself. We are the universe looking for something else. We are the universe looking for more. Humanity, sentient creatures, were created by the universe in search of something that it hasn't discovered yet. In search of more than the universe itself. Because when you think about it, we aren't really experiencing the universe, are we? We're not wandering around the forests going, oh, that's a nice plant. Oh, that's a nice flower. It smells good. We are building things. We are inventing. We are trying to change the world. We are looking for something beyond what the universe has already created. That's what makes humans so unique from other creatures, right? Our creativity, our ingenuity, and our ability to transform the world, to transform it beyond what it is. We create boats, we create houses, we create currency, we create holidays. None of this existed in the universe, or in the world, at least our world, before we created it. Something outside of the universe that didn't exist before. We are the universe searching for more. And I love that. That's so cool. We're feelers inside of the universe looking for something it hasn't experienced yet. And we keep finding it, right? Like I said, I can bet you 95% with certainty Christmas did not exist until humans invented Christmas. Is it possible there's another alien species out there that celebrates the exact same Christmas we do? Maybe, sure, anything's possible. But I would wager a bet, I would wager quite a large bet, because I'd love to make that money, that Christmas in the exact form it exists now did not exist until humans invented it. We created something that did not exist in the universe. We are the universe searching for more, and we are finding it. We are innovating. We are bringing things into existence, whether they're physical or conceptual. We are the universe searching for more, and I love that. It's such a cool view, and it's such a validating view, because regardless of who you are, regardless of your skills, regardless of how much better other people are than you, it gives you meaning, right? Your nose hairs are not ranked in order of usefulness to uselessness. At least I hope they're not. If they are, you really need to get a job or watch more anime or do something with your time other than counting the nose hairs and ranking them in order of importance. And you could argue like, oh, this long nose hair is more useful than the short one. But no, the short one grabs stuff easier than the long one. You can't reasonably order nose hairs by importance, by usefulness. So why are you doing that with people? Why are you saying that you, with your unique composition and your unique personality that is only ever distinguishable from other people, are lesser than other people? Oh, because that person's more fit than me. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, that person's more creative than me. Oh, very cool. I'm proud of you. Oh, that person can make art and I'm bad at drawing art. They're better than me. Okay, well, what language do you speak? Oh, you speak Spanish? Do they speak Spanish? No, they don't. There you go. If they do, find something else. You are unique. And even if you don't have talents, you have a personality that they simply do not have. It's apples and oranges, literally, right? They are different things. So if you ever feel like you don't deserve to exist, like other people are just better than you, just remind yourself, you are the universe experiencing it. You are the universe searching for more. And you are a unique feeler that it created to experience more. Now, that doesn't mean you have to invent things. That doesn't mean you have to fulfill the universe's desire by creating new things. Just by living, you are serving out your purpose. Just by living. So keep that in mind. I'm saying that to you as well as myself, in case you couldn't tell. Yuji's only alive because of unnatural circumstances, entirely disturbing. Slightly headcanon, nothing I ever learned if he was born before or after the body match. I'm pretty sure it's implied that it's after, because Coyote couldn't be born or something, or couldn't bear children, something like that. But I don't know how switching brains would change that. I don't know. There's a whole lot of stuff that's probably going to be revealed later. I feel as though Yuji's lying about shutting his feelings off in this. It's him convincing himself as okay now he feels nothing. Even with his short time with Choso, he obviously cares a lot. None of the cast would ever guilt Yuji for living, save the obvious one. It's always self-imposed hatred. Yes. Yes, Ketch, 100% yes. And it's not just Yuji, it's people, right? For people who don't feel anything, who've developed a flat affect, whether it's from trauma or from anything really, it's not actually imposed on by the world. It's imposed on by yourself as a defense mechanism to not feel bad things. Same thing with Yuji. It's a defense mechanism that doesn't actually affect reality. It affects your perception of reality. In Yuji's case, Yuji isn't actually losing, he's not stopping caring about people, right? His brain is just shutting off the part of him that feels things. So he doesn't think he feels it, but he still does, because your brain doesn't alter reality. I'm sorry to say it, mind over matter is true, but that doesn't mean you can affect reality with your mind. You need your agents of change, right? That's why hands are important. That's why we look at them in despair. What have I done with my agents of change? Your mind can't do anything on its own. It can only change how you perceive things. So Yuji thinks he's shutting off his feelings. He thinks he has this cold determination. He does, but the feelings are still there. You can't literally shut off your feelings. You can only shut off your awareness of them. And that's when things bottle up. That's when things become an issue. That's when things inevitably explode, right? You just don't notice it because your brain shut off your awareness of it. Because having a feeling and openly feeling it, being aware of it, are two very different things. They are distinguishable. They are exclusive. They are mutually exclusive. I guess not entirely. You can't feel something about a feeling you don't have. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And we're talking about the body snatchers when Yuji was born. Oh my god, Retro Capital is here. And sure enough, he's going on about this absolute, I can't with you, man. Your propaganda, Avery or Gregan or Kenjaku, or whatever you go by. Come on, at least call me Brain. Not that you should, of course, because it's not. What's your thoughts on Yuji? I mean, I really like him. In case you can't tell, I love this song, and I think the song expresses him really well. So yeah, I love him. I think he's a great character. I think, ironically, he kind of, at least at this moment, he kind of represents what I dislike about JJK. Not what I dislike, but what I, from a subjective point, don't like it as much as something like MHA, because Yuji, at this point in the story, represents an idealistic person slamming into the brick wall of reality, which I think most of us have experienced for some point or some degree or another. So it's good. I'm not saying it's objectively bad. I'm just an idealist myself, and I try to rail against cynicism. So Yuji's kind of the opposite of that. He's an idealist who's getting stomped by cynicism, and maybe he will rail against it. This song is about rising up regardless and casting off that cynicism. So maybe he will get there. But I do love Yuji. I love our precious boy. He doesn't deserve a fraction of what's happening to him. Sometime, what if your camera started working? Yeah, all these what ifs. There's no point explaining these what ifs. What if my camera started working? Who knows? Who knows? Listen, chicks, I'm not going to feel guilty in my life more than one day because I didn't choose to be born. And that's another tough thing. Some people choose, some people take the idea that I didn't choose to be born, I can choose how I go. Or some people take the opposite, I didn't choose to be born, so it's tough. Like, I didn't choose this life, right? That's often justification for ideation turning into something more. I didn't choose this life. This wasn't my choice. This is unfair. And it is, right? We didn't choose this. We didn't get a character selection screen, or at least we don't remember it. And a lot of us are pretty sure we didn't because it can be pretty bad. But we're trying our best, right? We didn't choose to be born, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep living. We can keep going. We didn't choose to be born, but we can choose how we'll live. So let's do that. People tend to forget Sukuna could make the pact with Yuji because the higher-ups got him killed. Yes, we can't say Gojo or Megumi had no say in the issue. Yeah. Sukuna's finger wouldn't be used as a talisman if the higher-ups weren't responsible with it. Exactly, the blame game, right? You can go back and forth until the sun engulfs us all. There's no point. I mean, you could try to put a point, but there's no really helping that. It's going to do its own thing, and life is just going to happen. So play the blame game all you want. It won't change reality. I'd much rather look at the future and see what we can do from here on, rather than seeing who's at fault for where we are now. No one was meant to exist. That's my favorite part of existing. Exactly. We get to define it, right? Because there's no reason we exist. We get to make that reason. We get to choose why we were born. And I think that's great. That's awesome. I like that a lot, Max. Yeah, I do too, Catch. I love that. We get to define our existence because it was not defined to start with. By Miwa, she made a song switch from being a sorcerer. Good for her. Yes, our lovely Miwa, who I almost lost my mind in the season 2 finale. God, that was not an okay scene. I'm still struggling from it. Songwriter, special grade, President of America, and Prime Minister of Japan. Hell yes. Please tell me that's a spoiler, because I would love to see this show Miwa as a President of America and Prime Minister of Japan. If she gets that, she deserves it. Rule the world, please. Oh my God. She's so precious. I love her so much. I can't help but feel bad for Yuji's grandpa. Lost his son and daughter-in-law, lived alone with no one but his grandson, and wished his grandson to live a happy life, right? Yeah, he really tried to make the most of he tried to make the most of a bad situation, and he did good, I think. I think we can all agree he did incredible. No wonder he's a little grouchy because of how hard his life was, but he kept going, just like this song, which we'll get back into in a second once I'm finished with these comments. But yeah, I feel bad for him, but more than that, I respect him. I respect him for trying and for doing what he can. And for doing a lot. He did what he could, and it was a lot, right? To explain a bit more about Yuji being born thing. Breaking fate and everything, going to chaos was mentioned in episode 3. Yeah. Yuji's birth being similar is an interpretation that follows. Yeah. And I like how episode 3 brings in the idea of fate and connects it with cursed energy. That's why Toji is outside of fate. It's a really cool idea. It's really fun. I'm looking forward to see where it goes from there. Before living beings, particles were perpetually undefined. We are here to define ourselves in the universe, and that cannot be done without a me and another. That is why we search for that another. That's why we desire connection, right? No man is an island. We change the world by interacting with it, and we are part of the world, so we interact with each other to change the world. That's why we seek connection, you could argue, right? It's a great interpretation. One could argue that everything exists in the universe is created by the universe because everything is part of it. Yeah, exactly, Alex. We're all part of the universe. We are all the universe, right? You can't exclude yourself from it as much as you may want to. Ooh, Lista Chicks is coming in with the cynicism. We don't do anything, bro. Universe doesn't care about us, and if you care about universe, your care has no value for universe. My favorite part about existing is I'm going to die at some point. So do whatever you want, right? Just do whatever you want, because it's not going to matter anyways. The sun's going to engulf us all. And yet, there is the butterfly effect, right? What if you going to school today puts you in traffic and puts a scientist in traffic? They're there for a little bit longer, so they think of a formula. That formula lets us create a base on Mars, which lets us go outside the solar system. And then suddenly the sun engulfs the solar system, but humanity exists, right? It endures. You deciding to go to school allowed us to go beyond the Milky Way. Do we still not matter? It's exponential growth, right? You can't say you don't matter. You can't say nothing you do matters. Because you don't know how small your butterfly's wings are. You don't know how big that tornado is going to be. And at the same time, the feeling that we're going to die, the feeling that this is all going to end, is a great motivator for not being too stressed about things. You can take it either way, right? They're both valid. You can be depressed or you can be happy because nothing matters and I can do whatever I want. That's great. Or you can say, everything I do could have a butterfly effect and change the world. Great. Whatever motivates you, right? Whatever works for you. There's no correct answer here. There's no one correct answer here. And that's another thing that's beautiful about existence, isn't it? Well, now I need to rank them. Thanks a lot, Adri. All right, Sumknown, let me know what your number one nose hair is. I would love to see that. Leave that in the comment of this video once it's a VOD. Let me know which one you found, and I don't know how you're going to do it. Maybe you're going to number them, maybe you're going to name them. If you name your nose hairs, seriously, please get a job. You need to do more with your time. Listen, chicks, I'm glad you're here to share your interpretation. I agree, Max. I like this. I like that a lot. Okay, Retro Capital. Adri, Brain, Gregan, Kenjaku. Come on, we gotta at least combine those, right? That's just a whole lot to say. Abre Grecken? Abre Grecken? Abre Grecken? Abre Gecken. Abre Gecken. There you go. Abre Gecken. That's what you can call me. We gotta make it shorter so you don't have to type that out every time. If Nobata and Nanami, or both of them, didn't die in Shibuya, do you think Yuji wouldn't be as depressed as he is? Yes and no. Again, we're going into the ifs, but this is a little bit of a smaller if. I mean, the big depression was obviously Sukuna, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of it was him being kicked while he's down, right? A lot of it was him being beat down after he'd found his cold determination and the world said, yeah, that's not good enough, buddy. And just kept knocking him down by killing off Nanami and then Nobata. So I think if they hadn't died, he would be more deeply in his cold determination phase. Because that's what made him kind of double question his own conviction, basically, his own cold, dark conviction that hopefully he will get out of at some point. So it would have been really complicated, I think, or it might have been more simple. I think his mind in season 3 would be a lot more, a lot less conflicted than it is now if they'd survived. But it's that beating him while he was down after he tried to find his conviction that I think really leads to this complicated, convoluted, and messy mental space he's in right now. That's causing him to his brain to just shut off, right? Causing him to shut off from his emotions. Yes, listen, chicks, there's no reason to exist. Don't overcomplicate things. Live a simple life. Live your best life. That's a good way of putting it. I think he'd still be depressed about the mass death, but it wouldn't affect him as much because he would have a cheerful friend and mentor by his side. True. Nobata would be with him, right? Of course. And Nanami would also probably support him. So he would have more people by his side, which would be great. I think we need to bring Nietzsche back for this chat. Perhaps a Camus too. We need some philosophers up in here. Every time you talk about how you feel about Yuji makes me want to travel into the future to see reactions for the remaining of season 3 and beyond. We'll get there. Don't worry, Max. We'll get there in due time. All in due time. Abregaku. Ooh, I like that Sumknown. Abregaku. Abregaku. That rolls off the tongue nicely. And sorry for existentialism. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Brain Jockery from Max. Brain Jockery. Ooh, I like the sound of that one. Maybe I'll change my channel name to that. I just change it like that for a day without context and then change it back. Push the Abregaku agenda. Adori, Noritoshi, Greg, and Kamo, Kanjaku, Brain Thingy. My goodness, Sumknown. You are going all in the wrong direction. But at this point, might as well just... Our paragraph people in the chat are just going to have an entire paragraph of names for me. We'll land on one somewhere. We'll land on one somewhere. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I don't think we have any more. So let me do this real quick. I have an idea. We're gonna Deadpool it up real quick. You've seen Deadpool 1. Let's see. The first one is Abregaku. And kind of hard to type because my mic is in the way. There we go. I'll give you guys a poll. There's only like 12 of you here, so it's probably going to be a pretty small poll, but feel free to vote on what my name is. What's my name? Butterfly effect is not choice in any capacity. If you don't have a choice, you're not human anymore, just meat. I wouldn't say you're meat necessarily, but you're like a monkey, right? You're like an, I mean, well, no, that's not true. Animals have choice too. So yeah, I guess so. You're just a meat mech with no pilot, right? Without choice, you're just a meat mech. You're just a meat mech, a flesh mech with no pilot. There we go. That sounds like an awesome name for a band. Flesh mech with no pilot, unpiloted flesh mech. I don't know. Just look at how his demeanor changes alongside Yuta and Megumi. Those are real anchors, especially the latter. Definitely, right? You see the light coming into Yuji's eyes when Megumi appears. A light that's not shared by Megumi because he's got a much flatter affect. But yeah, they're his anchors, right? You can see how he lights up when he's around them. It's great. Ooh, here we go, Retro. Eibrigaku, Brainjaku, Eidorigraga, Noritoshi, Kaori, Kenjaku, Sudogeto. What do you think of Yuta? We're getting to that paragraph. We're getting there. What do you think of Yuta and Megumi as a whole? I know people slander the two a lot. I mean, I love Yuta and Megumi. Yuta's great. He's a different kind of cinnamon roll from Yuji, but he's certainly he's plenty cinnamon on his own. You could even argue more so. He's the way he like treated that kid at the end of season 2, and the way his voice changes when he is alone with the Yuji in the fire in front of the campfire. I mean, not alone, but he's with Choso still like lurking in the corner. But I mean, the way his like face and his tone softens. I love you. I love Yuta, and I love Megumi too. He's great. Megumi, my depressed goat. Excendio, hey, welcome. We've got James. We've got a couple other people here. Oh, James has been commenting a little bit, but I've been missing him. He's talking about the release, yeah. Some known. I don't think I have a spine, though. I'm not sure the context for that, but I'm pretty sure you do have a spine. It might be difficult to exist without one. And if you don't have one, please get that checked. Trust me, life's going to be a lot better once you have a spine. I think we can all agree on that. Fresh take. Hey, welcome. Glad you could make it. How's it going? I'm a little busy, so I can't stay for long, but I hope you're doing better. It's nice to see you back. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Thank you for dropping by, and thank you for your comments, and thank you everyone for your nice comments. It's really meant so much for me. It's helping me so much. But yeah, I'm doing a little bit better. It's certainly rocky, but I'm getting progressively better. And reacting to these shows again, reacting to the latest Frieren episode 19, and soon tomorrow is going to be JJK episode 4. It does feel really good. It feels great to be back. So hopefully that won't happen again. But yeah, I'm doing better. Thank you. The comment just before that is the context. Can we really call it news when it's speculation? I don't think I have a spine, though. Oh, Max, I'm not meat. I'm conscious electricity piloting a meat mech, which is metal AF. 100%. It's so metal. Literally. Flesh mech. Well, it's not literally. Flesh, not metal. I guess we got metal in us, right? Iron. Anyways. There we go, Retro Capital. Kenjaku, ICBA to type all your names. What do you think of Naoya Zhang, the humble feminist? I can't wait for... I really hope next episode in what I presume will be the killing spree, the murder mash of the Zhang clan by Maki. I really hope he's in there. I really hope Naoya's in there because I love to hate him. And if you have a person you love to hate, seeing them get theirs is always satisfying. Okay, looks like Brain Jackery is currently winning against Eibrigaku. I agree with that. It flows off tongue a little better. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with the song. Yeah, I know we've been talking for so long, forgot there was a video here. I'm halfway through it, so we're going to keep going with this, and then we'll see what more comments people are leaving, and we'll go back through this. Oh, there we go. So we had the I'm afraid of losing again, and we go into the second verse, right? Little introduction. I'm going to speed this up actually just a little bit. There we go. Such a beautiful music video too. Since I lost you, the world is filled with nothing but dark news. And as usual, 5 seconds in, I gotta pause it again because I love this. I love this. Similar to the misery loves company line. Misery and sorrows rarely come singly, right? Another saying, the common saying, when it rains, it pours. When something bad happens, you are more aware of bad things happening, right? Your mind is more alert. So it feels like bad things happen in a domino effect. More and more things happen. Oh, I overslept, or I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And then when I tried to pour some toothpaste on my toothbrush, some of it squirted out and got my eye. And then I had a lot of traffic. And then at work, people weren't nice to me. And then when I tried to get home, there was a crash, so it was delayed. All of these bad things. Why is the world just stacking bad on bad? Well, maybe, but probably not. Realistically, you're probably just more sensitive to these bad things happening. And that's this line, right? I lost you, this horrible thing happened, and now everything is tinted, everything is tainted by this darkness. Everything feels bad. It feels like more and more bad things are happening, which obviously isn't true. The world doesn't care about what bad thing happened to you. It's not going to change reality to give you more bad things, but that's how it seems. That's our perception. And saying the world is full of nothing but dark news is such a great way of expressing that in such a poetic way. It's great. No matter what I do, my sorrow is endless. Just more things keep happening and just keep stacking. Will we meet again without learning my lesson? I lament. Without learning my lesson. There's that self-awareness, isn't it? That self-awareness that comes hand in hand with self-loathing, with self-pity, self-hatred. This feeling that I'm feeling these things and I want things to go back even though I know it shouldn't. I'm feeling this anyways, I don't want to, but I can't stop myself. I'm not learning my lesson. And it's a horrible feeling. It's such a thing I feel a lot. Some people say, there's the saying that goes, the only real mistakes are the ones you haven't made. And I often respond to that, well, then I've made a lot of mistakes because I seem to keep repeating them. And it sucks, right? It's hard for self-esteem when you don't seem to be able to learn your lesson, which is why it goes so hand in hand with lacking self-esteem, with not liking yourself very much. No matter how much I worry, my unresolved regret seeps into the palm of my hand. God, the imagery in the song is so good. My unresolved regret. Regret's not good, right? It's not resolved. It's not something you've confronted. It's something that's seeping into every aspect of your life. If you feel like you made a bad decision, that carries with you, right? Sorrows don't come singly. That taint seeps into other parts of your life, seeps into the palm of your hand. Feels like everything you do is tainted with that regret, with that feeling that I wish things were different. Even if you know, realistically, you shouldn't think that. Because I still have regret. I've talked about how I hate regret, but I still have it. So I feel that without learning my lesson. I feel that regret seeping into the palm of my hand, affecting everything I touch. God, it's such a beautiful way of putting it. This song is so artsy. And then we get into the chorus. Even if I get shattered, torn apart, starting the same way as the first one, and scattered into disgrace, I fear nothing. That's all the same. But then there's something else. I can't stop trembling. I still want to be here. I want to be with you. There are things I can never lose. So many of them, which is why I can't leave yet. I'll get to that line in a second, but I can't stop trembling. Despite the cold determination, despite the feeling that I have nothing left to lose, your brain is too smart for that, right? Yuji's brain is too smart for that. Whoever the song's focus is in your mind is too smart for that. We are too smart for that. We are too smart to fall for our own tricks. Your brain will pretend that you don't feel things anymore to hide you from the pain. Your brain will pretend that it doesn't care about anything anymore to protect itself from losing things. But it never works fully, does it? There are things you can never lose. There are things you can't afford to lose. There are things that even after you've lost everything and then lose a little more, you still have yourself, right? So depending on how you want to interpret this line, whether it's things I can never lose like I can't afford to, or things I literally can't ever lose, it works. No matter how afraid you are of losing things, you will always have something. And you can find comfort in that, right? You can find strength in that. And once you start seeing these things you can never lose, I'll give you a few just here. Gratitude. You can never lose gratitude, right? It's a feeling that can always appear. A kindness. Waking up in the morning. You can't lose these things, right? I mean, you can try to end your own life, and I guess you can lose it then, but as long as you're living, you can't lose these things. These aren't things that can be lost, at least not for good. They are things that are attached to you, inextricably linked with your existence. And once you start finding them, there's more and more, right? There's so many of them. Sorrows never come singly, but neither does happiness, neither does gratitude. Once you start thinking about them, more and more will appear. You'll start noticing them more. So he reaches a different conclusion from a slightly different conclusion from before. That's why I can't leave yet, even if no one else wants me to. The obvious interpretation, Yuji, right? People want him dead. More widely, and why I connect with the song, it goes back to wanting to keep living and feeling like you are not valuable, you are not worth it. It's obviously false, right? I don't think there's a single person in the world that nobody wants them to continue. Everybody has at least one person who wants them to keep living. If for nothing else than participation prize of there are some people in the world who just love everyone, right? Even people they haven't met. There's a person in Nigeria who wants you to keep living because they want everyone to live. So by default, there is no human who has ever will ever exist where not a single person wants you to live. That is wrong. That is a fallacy. It is the fallacy, I forget the word, but I forget the exact term, but it's absolutes, right? No one wants me to live. There is no absolute that holds true when it comes to like feelings, right? When it comes to talking about people. For physical stuff, sure. No human grows wings. Sure, you can say that's true. But for the sake of most contexts, absolutes are not true, right? No one else wants me to live. That just isn't true. But it doesn't need to be true to believe it. And you can even be aware of it. Like I said, your brain often doesn't fall for the bluff it creates to protect itself. So it will trick itself into trying to convince itself that no one wants you to exist because of X, Y, and Z. And it's really sad, but it's really easy to fall into. And that's this, right? I have to keep living even if no one wants me to. It's sad. It's not true, but it feels true, and that's enough for you. And yet, on the other side of the coin, there's a beauty in it, isn't it? There's a beauty in living for yourself. no one will ever criticize you as much as you. You are your own biggest critic, right? Yet at the same time, no one will ever love you, support you, root for you as much as you. You are your greatest critic. Yet you're also your biggest fan, your strongest advocate. Even if you don't think you are. Even if you may not be right now. No one will ever advocate for you more than you. Even if no one else wants me to live, I can't leave yet. Not for someone else's sake, but for my own. And that's beautiful, isn't it? It can be hard to convince ourselves that it applies to us, but it does, without exception. That's one absolute that is true. Without exception, everyone deserves to live for themselves. Yes, I know, you thought of some horrible figure in history who did horrible things. Yes, even then. It's an absolute. Every living creature deserves to live for itself. And then we go into the crazy bridge, and then we go into the final chorus. Once again, even if I get shattered, torn apart, scattered in disgrace, I fear nothing. But now it's because you're always right beside me when the song opens up. Every single day. Even though you're gone, you're still with me. It's Nobata in the chorus of the visuals, right? Her appearing there even though she's gone. At least to Yuji. We don't know if she's alive or not. We assume she's not. The implication is she's not. But what matters is how Yuji sees things, right? You are still here even if you're gone. You are always with me. You have left something in me that cannot be erased. A thing I can never lose, right? Nobody can take away from me. The world cannot take away from me the imprint of you that you left in me. Nobody can take that away from me. Nothing can take that away from me except for, I guess, maybe dementia. But even then, like, if you lose your memories, you still have the personality that has been developed from touching with other people, right? As one of the commenters were saying, I forget which one you were. It might have been some known. Was saying that we seek out, or it might have been Max, we seek out other connections to experience the world, right? And every time we encounter other people, we create memories of them. Yes, they leave their impact on us there, but they also change our personality. We are all putty blobs. And every time we bump into each other, a small indent is created, sometimes a big one. But there is nothing the world can do to take that away. That is something you can never lose. You cannot lose it. Not you can't afford to, you can't. So take solace in that. If you're afraid of losing things, take solace in the things you can never lose. The things that will always be with you. And then he goes back to thinking about the end, the moment where everything ends. Until then, I will keep chasing. And he reaches the super high note of the song that always gives me chills when I listen to it. I will continue to reach my hands out toward the light. That waits at the very end of these days, the end of the tunnel, right? Even if I can't reach it, I'm still chasing after it. And then the best line of the song. It's a tough competition, but this is my favorite line of the song. And it's the namesake of the song, right? The dawn is here. Even though the morning is approaching, the fog still hasn't lifted. But I head towards it, tracing its uncertain outline with certainty. One thing at a time. Morning is approaching. The fog hasn't lifted. The day is here. The night I've been dreading is over. The sun's finally risen. You wake up. You're still depressed. Right? That's effectively what this is. Things are getting better, but a lot of things still haven't changed. If you lost somebody with Nobata, let's say, the morning comes, let's say the Culling games end. If Nobata is actually dead for good, the Culling games end, things get better, right? But Nobata still isn't here. She's still gone. I'll use someone I'm certain about. Nanami is gone. again before Nanami comes back, the Culling Games will eventually end, right? Nanami will not come back. The morning has come, but the fog hasn't lifted. Because not everything will be righted. Some things you just have to carry with you that aren't great, that are sad, that are hard. And that's okay, right? That's okay. That's why we love bittersweet stories, because we love wanting to appreciate taking the good with the bad. We don't like the fog, but it's part of the human condition. And then I head towards it, tracing its uncertain outline with certainty. I like to say that ideals... Excuse me, one second. I like to say that ideals are... They are ideals exactly because they cannot be attained. Ideals fundamentally, by their very nature, are not things that can be accomplished. They are things that are incongruous with reality. If it is something that can be achieved, it is not an ideal. That's what I believe. I also believe that it is the very nature that they are unachievable that makes them worth chasing. If the North Star was something you could reach, it wouldn't be sought after, would it? The very fact that it is unachievable, that it is something that cannot be reached, is the reason it is worth pursuing. Because you can pursue it forever. It is something you can always work towards. It embodies the idea that it is about the journey, not the destination. It embodies a constant progression, which life should be, right? Life should be a constant journey of growth from the beginning to the very end. You should always be seeking growth. You never complete your growth, right? You never finish your character arc. Not your overarching one. Maybe you have smaller ones within it, but you never complete it. And that's beautiful. That's why we want to keep living, right? Because if we completed it, then we could just die then. But the very fact that it is unattainable, the fact that we cannot achieve it, is where the value is found. That's why in the line earlier here where it says, until that moment, I will keep chasing. I will continue to reach out my hands towards the light, right? The light is unattainable. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not breaking anyone's hearts here by lifting the veil. You cannot reach out towards the dawn and grab it. The dawn is not a thing, right? It's a perception. It's how the sun breaks over the horizon. It is not reachable. And that makes it worth reaching for. That makes it worth pursuing. Feeling happiness, conquering depression and despair and all these bad feelings. It's not really achievable. Realistically, if you have depression, especially if like you have it like ingrained in you, not from a certain event, if it's like persistent PDD, persistent depressive disorder, not major, which is usually trauma focused. If you have PDD, you are not going to conquer depression, let's be honest. For the most part, the vast majority of people will not. Let's go with ADHD. If you have ADHD as an adult and you had it as a kid, there's a good chance you will never conquer it. And it's easy to think that and to fall into despair. Life will just be like that. Life sucks, then you die. But I prefer to look at it as I will never not have something to pursue. I will never not have something to better myself because depression will always be there to fight against. I will never not have a purpose. My purpose can always be, even if I complete everything I want to in my life somehow and I cross off every bucket list, I will always have something next I can do. Fend off depression, make it smaller, make my happiness more. I continue to reach out my hands towards the light I can't grasp. But the more I reach out for it, the better my life becomes. So I don't want it to be achievable because the moment I achieve it, if it were achievable, I would stop growing and life would lose its meaning. At least it would lose that main meaning. So that's what I mean when I say ideals being unachievable is the very reason they are worth pursuing. Because they will always be something you can pursue. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel you can chase after. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about, tracing its uncertain line with certainty. Awesome. I love these like seemingly contradictory lines. Another one I love is deafening silence. Things like that. Things that seem not to make sense, but have a strong visual effect, even if oftentimes we don't know why. For this one, the uncertain outline is what I'm trying to reach, right? What I was just going on a tangent about. Ideals are unachievable. The future is unseeable. It's uncertain. But just because the thing you're reaching for is uncertain doesn't mean the way you're reaching for it needs to be uncertain. You can chase after something uncertain with certainty, right? Because they're not the same thing. You reaching for something and that thing don't have to be synchronized. You can have conviction even if the future is unseeable. It may seem like a contradiction at first glance, but it's not. It's part of life, right? The future will never be seeable. That doesn't mean you need to be uncertain about it just because it is uncertain. Now, will you be perfectly certain? Probably not. I hope not. There's probably something a little bit off in your head if you are completely certain with no reservations whatsoever about the future, because that's a little bit odd. You should always have some reservation. It's normal to. But you don't need to reflect the uncertainty of the future. You don't need to look at a foggy mirror and decide that your reflection, decide that just because your reflection is foggy, that means you're foggy. You don't have to accept that, right? You can look at a foggy mirror, see your foggy reflection, and go, my reflection is foggy. I am not foggy. I am defined. If you are bad of sight and you lost your glasses, I may look foggy. That's your perception. I am not foggy. The future is uncertain. That doesn't mean I am uncertain reaching for it. I will reach for it decisively, even if the future cannot be decided. Because it can't, right? The future is a concept. It's not a thing that can exist. Only the present ever exists. So, yeah. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That's the song, right? That's the song. There's so much in it. I love it. I love it. That's why I love it so much. And now, let's see. Okay, we're getting to the point where my Riedel's about to die, so I'm probably gonna... We'll see. I might get off the stream soon, or we might just keep going if there's more to talk about, but let me just see what the comments are having since then. Actually, you know what? Since I'm done watching that, I'm gonna get rid of the pip here and also the filter. Then let me go ahead and lengthen the chat so it shows the whole thing. Reset transformation. There we go. That way for the VOD, everyone can see the whole thing. There we are. Ooh, looking at the poll, Brain Jackery only has 62% now. Abre Gaku is starting to get it back a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got here. Jeez, come on. Retro, I keep calling you Kenjaku, but what do you think of Kenjaku yourself? I mean, I like him. I think he's really cool. I really like his idea. If you've seen my reactions, you've probably seen my thoughts on him, especially in season 3, episode 1. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and check out my reaction to that. I really like him. I love the idea of this recurring bad guy, this boogeyman of sorts. And especially that he's a human. Like, it really feels like he's just a person who saw the real boogeyman, Sukuna, who actually technically was a human too, but they live in the same time, right? So my headcanon, what exists right now in my mind, is Kenjaku saw Sukuna basically become the boogeyman and decided, I can do that too. I can make a bigger legacy than him. And he kind of did then. He decided to live on through the ages and affected the world long after Sukuna left and was trapped. So he saw the boogeyman, decided to become a bigger boogeyman, and then did. I think that's awesome, and that's such a great final villain here, main antagonist. It's such a great, like, this feeling of progression, this feeling of going through these ages and fighting this generational evil, right? A literal generational evil. That's really cool. That's awesome. Actually, you know what? Let me tilt this over a little bit. There we go. Include a little bit more of me now. I don't need the picture in picture. Frieren is amazing because it took the strongest point, which is closed cast that led to strong intimacy, then threw it out the window for the second half in favor of a choral story and ensemble cast, and absolutely effing nailed to a degree that my favorite character in the end was people. So I disagree a little bit. I don't disagree that Frieren threw away its small cast. Well, I do actually. It didn't throw it away, obviously. It expanded it, right? But I don't see it as throwing it away. I see it as building an incredibly strong foundation, then building off from there. Because JJK did this too, to a degree, right? To a larger scale degree. It included a lot of people as early as the second half of season 2. But one thing I really like about the opening, about Aizo, is that it feels like its whole purpose is to overwhelm you, right? It's overstimulating. That's why it's so exciting. It's so hype. There's so many scenes just flashing through things. And there's so many freaking characters you've never met. It's clearly intentional, right? It's clearly meant to overwhelm you. The Culling game introduces so many new people. Most anime would just not include these people. Some of these are probably going to be like episodic characters who we have to defeat to gain points. But it shows them because the point of Aizo, at least as I see it, is to overwhelm you with this expanding world. Because after season 2, the world is expanding, right? Season 3, we are expanding from Tokyo to like all of Japan. This overstimulation is the point. Meanwhile, with Frieren, it has a much smaller cast. It's building out the foundation, and now it's expanding, right? In the second half of season 1. It's expanding to include more characters, to expand the world, because it's built that strong foundation. It's not throwing them away. It's using their strength to build things on top of it. And I love that. That's great. Such a great way to do a story. The alternative is something like Assassination Classroom or My Hero Academia, right? My Hero Academia also still builds out a strong foundation with the first like 2 or 3 episodes. But then it introduces all of Class 1A, and to a lot of people, it's overwhelming, right? I think it handles it really well, personally. But it is a fair critique that MHA throws too many characters at you too fast. That is a fair critique. And it is a valid way of telling your story, right? It's perfectly valid to introduce a bunch of characters and then build them all as the story goes on. An even better example, like I said before, is Assassination Classroom. If you haven't seen it, for the love of everything, please watch it. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. But it introduces a lot of characters, and then it builds them out. And then it builds out like them as a group, right? And as individuals. And I love that. So it's no less of a valid way of doing it. And the criticism that, oh, it's too many characters is also valid. Which is why I like shows like Frieren, JJK that build out that base and then build out from it. It's a very reliable way, because people will complain that you've introduced too many characters early in your story. Far fewer people will say, you don't have enough characters. Your cast is too small. Unless you're not doing it with the execution is bad. Most people like small casts because it's easy to get attached to them. So it is the much safer way of building out a good story with a lot of characters. And I can deal with your second comment. It's clearly not a criticism of Frieren, because you're saying it absolutely effing nailed it to a degree that, like, and I believe it. Yeah, it's not a criticism, right? It's just a point that it built out its cast and then threw them away. And then it built something out better and it did really well, because that's Frieren, right? It has an episodic storyline and then it creates longer running arcs and nails them. So you think the show's greatest strength is an episodic nature, and then it goes out and hits a home run with its longer arcs, because it seems Frieren is the King Midas of anime. Everything it touches turns to gold. So I can't wait to see what it touches in the future. Exactly, Sumno. Narrowing your pool of characters is a great way to keep the story tight and to keep the audience invested in your characters. Easier to keep track of what's happening in the story. Yeah, exactly. I do enjoy how JJK does the opposite, letting the themes give you the picture of who someone is. Yeah. Yeah, in a way, it does the opposite. It builds out these characters, but rather than focusing on the characters, it focuses on themes, and the characters represent themes, right? So you build out the character through the theme is exploring. It's the opposite of how things often go, but it does really well with it, honestly. I think we can all agree on that. Or even a slight amount of screen time is enough to understand what the character symbolizes, makes them so instantly likable. Yeah, definitely. Isn't exactly the nouvelle vague, but it doesn't hand everything to you on a silver platter like many shonen anime do either. I think many people believe it's just hype Nora. Yeah, you really have to think about it, right? Gege is a very interesting writer. He doesn't explain much, right? He has incredibly tight storytelling and incredibly tight dialogue. Sometimes so tight that it's easy to miss stuff. It's easy to, if you don't think about things too much, it's easy for them to fly over your head. But it's still there. If you do break it down, as I do and as a lot of you clearly do, the more you look, the more you find, right? You find that he's done his homework. He's done his work. Just because he's not showing his work, his math is solid. He's clearly done his work, and it shows. It's what's so good about it. And it's what's such a shame that a lot of people don't really break it down and see that. It's easy to follow without understanding the themes, but it seems shallow without them. Some known exactly. That is JJK in one sentence, I would say. Delving deeper into the cultural metaphors and symbolism will yield an even richer story. Of course, that's Alex saying that because, I mean, he's right? Obviously. But yeah, exactly. I mean, you are our local culture expert, so yeah. I mean, we've seen from your comments just how much a richer of experience it is when you really engage with it. Ridiculous amount of subtext is lost for most, yeah. Even the way they express themselves as subtext of characterization, yeah. Gege is a really good writer. But he doesn't like to make it obvious. So you really gotta get in the weeds to see just how good of a writer he is. Some known, you can see Yuji's mental state by how he's fighting. Yeah, another great thing about his writing. Any good shonen writer worth their salt, knows that your fights are a part of the story, right? The way your fights play out and the way your characters interact in the fight should reflect the character and their interaction. The fight should be a representation of their interaction. It should basically be dialogue, bloody dialogue. And Gege handles that expertly because he's a really good writer. Ooh, Alex is not fluent in Japanese, not even a native English speaker. Well, you could have fooled me, man. I can understand speak to you fairly well. I'm still slow at writing it. Okay, fair enough. Japanese, I've listened to it for years and understand some words, accents, concepts of use, cultural impact, but I'm not fluent. Helps a lot to delve into the history of language itself. Interesting. Yeah, I love delving into the culture and the backstory of language and of how things develop. It helps you get a much more holistic appreciation for it and helps you when you learn it. And Theo's not a native English speaker either. How are our two biggest essayists not native English speakers? Thank you for making me incredibly doubtful about my own English now. As a native English speaker, I feel like I have to step up my game now. You guys are outshining me. Some know not either. Jeez. What are y'all's native languages? I'm curious. If it's not English, what else could it possibly be? I understand enough to have noticed Sukuna's way of speaking without external context. Yeah. That's true. I didn't quite catch that until you mentioned it, but now when I listen for it, I can hear it. It's yeah, he's not quite talking right, is he? He's got a really interesting way of talking. Thought about learning Japanese just to read JJK. That's certainly a feeling people have. I don't know if you've tried learning it, Theo, but learning Japanese is a nightmare. It really is the English of Eastern Asia. It's the Asian English. It's such a nightmare. It's so hard. The cool part about Brain Jackery is you can top it off with the surname Brain Jackery Gregan. Thank you, Max. Very cool. Some known, my country has extremely good English literacy. And with uni studies, I write more in English than Swedish. Oh, Swedish. Okay. So you live in Sweden, I assume. Also better vocabulary in English. I speak Swedish better, though. Interesting. That's really cool. I know a lot of Sweden is a very desirable place for people to live in, especially for Americans. And I hear there's a lot of Swedish people who are like kind of salty about that there's a lot of like English forums about how great Sweden is. So people just move there from like America, and it's just like, you at least learn to speak the language first, man. We're not going to all start speaking English. I mean, we kind of are, but you should learn how to speak Swedish, right? If you're going to move somewhere else, you should learn their language. But since they're Americans, like, what do you expect from them? As an American, I'm allowed to say that. Max, Kenjaku is a colossal tier villain, which is a necessity when you are replacing the beast that was Geto as a character. Exactly. Yes. My reservations for them not using Geto, especially after the Gojo's Past arc, was completely just annihilated by the end of season 2, by the end of the Shibuya incident arc. You can see I'm starting to lose words because my Ritalин's gone. Now you're just seeing the raw, unfiltered Adiri Gregan with no medication on him on board. But yeah, he's really good. I didn't initially like that he wasn't Geto, because it felt like the character we spent several episodes learning to, getting to know, getting to love, was pulled away from us for the sake of it. But as the season progressed, as the arc progressed, he just became cooler and cooler. Now in season 3, he's getting cooler and cooler. And it's like, this guy is so much more fun than Geto. I mean, this is not a knock against Geto. Geto was incredible. But Kenjaku just had so much more here. If for nothing else, the interaction between Kenjaku and Sukuna, that is obviously incoming. And right now, Tengen and Kenjaku, right? They're talking to each other like they're not talking to each other, they're talking about each other. Tengen's talking about Kenjaku like somebody he knew, because he sort of is, right? He existed back in my time, which is a really cool dynamic. Hey, Bajaku, what do you think Gojo is doing in the prison realm? Plotting revenge against Kenjaku yourself? No, he's probably just hanging out, as we saw him in season 2, right? He's just chilling out here, just making it hard to move the prison realm. He's just doing his thing. Because that's just how Gojo is, let's be honest. I'm sure he's plotting. I'm sure he's got many different ways he's going to obliterate Kenjaku for his crimes, but I think we all know he's spending most of his time just chilling. Nothing I can do. Not going to worry about it. Great mindset to have. Kenjaku is quite a unique villain, though. I can't really get into why. Understandable. Obviously, we don't really know much about him, but I'm excited to learn more. I'm excited. Some known. Okay, Max, I'm kind of exaggerating with Frieren, fair enough, but the fact that the author could go from writing their core trio so well to suddenly writing about more than a dozen characters without losing any momentum or deepness, yeah, it's really good. Both Gege and Frieren's author, who now I need to learn their name because I'm really bad with names, they're both incredible writers, you can tell, right? Certainly a lot of why the shows are so good are because, more than the author, they're because of all the staff that works in them. Like the director, the animators, all that stuff, they all come together to create these masterpieces, right? But just like how people keep insisting that the value of my channel is built from the commenters, but only exists because of me. People insist that, even though I don't believe them. The same thing goes with these writers, right? This masterpiece of a show is not fully... The author and manga are not responsible for this masterpiece of a show. However, they are the reason for it. If it were not for their brilliance, we would not have the show. Plain and simple. So they deserve a lot of the credit, even if they don't deserve all of it. And they shouldn't deserve it, right? Because then we're downplaying all the other people who played such a big role in it. But yeah, they're really good writers, and we really should recognize that. And I think a lot of people do. And that's good. They should, right? They deserve it. Each topic you talk about could become its own small video, Max. Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. I think I'm going to release the VOD unedited and then I'll probably like make little clips of it and release those maybe as smaller videos, like 5-minute videos of me just talking about stuff. And that's kind of what I was hoping from this. That's what I like about these streams, right? Not only do I get to like interact with you guys, but I get to create these little things and discover things I wouldn't normally talk about talking about just the episodes I'm reacting to. This is a great way for you to get more takes from me because for some reason you seem to like it, but it's also an excuse for me to talk about these things I might not otherwise talk about, right? And that's great. And that's why I want to do more of these. It's a great opportunity. What do you think the main themes of JJK are, Max? To me, they are responsibility, negativity, and loneliness. Yeah. I mean, there's so many, right? Alex said ego, personal freedom, all this stuff. I mean, it's hard to put a finger on what the main themes are, right? Ooh, I'm noticing Retro's gotta go. A lot of fun seeing you analyze, keep up the good work, all that stuff. Thank you, Retro Capital. Thank you for dropping by. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you have a great rest of your night. But like with the themes, yeah, it's hard, right? There's so many themes to it. But for me personally, I think the value of a life, the essence of a death, and cynicism in and of itself, like what people thrive in this world. Those are for me the three like main themes of JJK. And like I guess the first two are kind of like two sides of the same coin, but what people deserve to be in this world and what value lives have, I think those are big, really important themes that other themes really just build off of. But there's so many, right? There's so many themes. It's really, really intricate. Max's main language, native language is Spanish, from the largest country in the world. And largest country in the world. I assume, are you talking about Mexico? I feel like the largest country in the world is Russia. I feel like it's Russia. Are you from Russia, but you speak Spanish? Or am I just illiterate when it comes to geography? Both things can be true. I am not great with geography as much as I'd like to be. Alex is also Spanish. Yeah, that makes sense. Certainly one of the largest languages in the world. I don't know if more people speak Spanish or English, actually. I would assume English, but I think when it comes to fluency, Spanish would probably win out. Because let's be honest, even native English speakers aren't fluent in English. It's an impossible language. Salty is not quite the right term, though we do want people to be more cautious and less native about moving to an entirely different country. Someone talking about Sweden. Yeah. We want people to be more cautious, less naive. Yeah, which is, I mean, it's about as American gets, right? It's a stereotype because it's kind of true. We are pretty naive and we are pretty America-centric. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I think most Americans aren't afraid to admit that. We don't love it, but it goes hand in hand with the whole like hating yourself, right? The whole being part of humanity. We don't love it, but we can't really decide how other people act, and they kind of speak for us. And yeah, a lot of Americans aren't really considerate like that. They just move somewhere and expect everyone to speak their language. They move everywhere and I'm not going to learn your language. You speak English, don't you? Let's just do that. And it's a bit reckless. It's quite reckless. But we can't decide that, right? We can't decide how other people act. The most we can do is shake our fist at them and just keep living our lives, right? And maybe try talking to them, maybe try getting them to understand. But at the end of the day, you can only affect yourself. So stressing too much about that is just bad for your health. Which is why I just roll my eyes, shrug, and just do my own thing. Maybe say like, don't do that. But yeah. The part where you try to control other people's lives and like try to say, you shouldn't do this. I'm going to stress about what you're doing. Whatever, right? What are you actually accomplishing? You're just trying to make yourself feel better. I love people's reactions to some Nordic things, though, and like how much data we have here throughout the seasons. Yeah, fair enough. Someone will become the culture expert of Vinland Saga is chosen. That's a good point. Yeah, because Nordic mythology, right? And because Vikings, yeah, it's gonna be your wheelhouse. Oh, someone hasn't actually seen it. Alex is happy he gets to maintain his hegemony of culturalness. Well, some known, this is your chance. You got to watch it. Because even if it doesn't win this poll, which it very well might, I'm not going to spoil who's winning right now, but even if it doesn't win, it's going to win eventually, right? It's a show. It's a beloved show. So you should watch it. Get ready for it. Ooh, Theo. Tengen is at least 1,300 years old. Kenjaku's at least 1,000. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess it's possible that Tengen is actually older than Kenjaku. Interesting. Yeah, there's Retro Capital. All I know is the adult version of the protag basically has my looks for Vinland Saga. Face structure is different though. Max, that was a pun on the largest, which is similar to largo in Spanish from Chile. Okay, Chile. Nice. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that went over my head because despite me living most of my life in SoCal, I'm stubborn and I didn't learn like a lick of Spanish. So I am part of the uncultured American stereotype. More people speak Spanish, but English is more spread out. Yeah. And now people are speaking languages I cannot speak. Thank you for that, Alex. I can't speak your frickin' Russian. Stop speaking that. Speak English. Gracias. Hey, I knew that one. I know that one. See, guys, I can speak Spanish. I swear. I swear. Ooh, Alex, Tengen is even older than that, since only stated he began preaching during the Nara period. Okay, interesting. And now we're just talking, okay, some known. I assume that's Swedish or Nordic, or I assume it's Swedish. I don't know anything about Nordic languages, though. I'm incredibly uncultured in that regard. Pretty fine people don't speak the language. We all have info in both Swedish and English, yeah. Okay, Spanish off. Okay, great. Nordic is not quite a language in itself, but they are quite similar. Yeah, I mean, because there are Nordic languages, right? It's kind of like a grouping of languages as I understand it. Oh, Alex, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head right there. Observing the chat is wonderful to see such a welcoming, respectful, and intellectually stimulating community. You built attracted something good, and I hope and wish it continues that way. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. This chat is great, and it's pretty small, right? There's like a handful of people here. I'm not going to say this is a massive chat, but there's something that's special about that too, right? We don't have to worry about trolls coming on and just thousands of people. Inevitably, a lot of people are going to come on that are less tasteful. So appreciate what we got while we got it, right? It's nice that it's a small group, but it's a small group of invested, engaged people, and we really get these cool discussions. I've been talking for 2.5 hours to like 7 people. There's not a whole lot of people. I think at most there was like 12, maybe 15 people. It's a small group, but the discussions are so valuable. There's so much going on in them, and it's not because of me. Like I was talking about the ED, but I wasn't talking about it that much. Most of what I've been talking about is from you guys, because this is just such a great discussion, because these people really do care, and they're, you guys, not these people, you people are lifting it up, right? This value is so much more than if it were just me. This video would be like 10 minutes long if I were just analyzing the ending in a void. But with you guys, it suddenly boosted 2.5 hours. Yeah, this is such a great community. And yeah, I think it will continue that way. I'm intent on keeping my content the way it is. And I think as long as I do that, then it will continue to attract the people that we want to see. Even if I grow a little bit slower because I'm not compromising those parts of my channel, I think it really is quality over quantity, right? It's still growing, it's still getting bigger, but it's growing the audience I want there to be. It's growing the people I want to see in my comments, the people I want to be watching my videos. And I like that, and I love that. And that's why I don't plan on changing anytime soon. And I hope you guys stay the same. And I hope you guys continue to follow me and watch me on my journey, because it really is amazing doing this, departing on this, and watching new people hop on and join. Theo, I watch English language reactors because I don't like the reactors from my country. Oof, that's rough. I'm sorry. And also there's just more people who speak English, right? It's the similar fallacy to like, oh, people say like Chicago is super dangerous because it's always on the news, there's always something happening. It's not because Chicago is more dangerous than other places. It's just a larger gathering of people, so more crimes will happen just statistically. With the reactors, there are going to be more reactors you like because there are just more English reactors, right? So there's bound to be more that you like. Correlation, not causation, in other words. Ooh, Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish people can speak natively with each other without too much trouble. Interesting. So Nordic languages they're almost like dialects in a sense. I mean, they're not, obviously. They're still their own unique languages, but I mean, like, you would compare it to, like, let's say, Sinitic languages, I guess, for like China, right? You've got like Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese. You can't really speak one and be understood in the others. You can write in one and probably be understood in the others because most of them adopted to a degree Chinese characters, but you can't really speak it and be understood. So if you can kind of do that with these Nordic languages, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. Ooh, I want to ask when the JJK replacement poll results will be out, if that's okay. Yes, fresh take. So obviously it's been out longer than I expected to because of my hiatus and because I want it to be open so enough people can vote, and I will close it a little bit before I catch up with JJK, which will, I mean, let's be honest, will be after the first quarter already ends at this rate. But I've set my JJK replacement poll right now. My current idea is going to close March 31st. So it will be open for the rest of March. And then after that, probably that weekend, I will have the poll results video. And I'll be talking about the patterns I see, the different charts. That's why I have the ratings as I do with like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because I want to see people's thoughts. And I think you all will be interested too to see the general vibe of what people feel about different shows. So that video will be coming out the first weekend of April, let's say. That's how I'll do it. Yeah, I think you'll like it. I've been tickled quite a bit by the results of it. Speaking of results of polls, Brain Jackery is still winning, but by a very slim margin. 15 votes, it's winning by 53%. Wow. So I do like Brain Jackery better. It's really close, though. I didn't expect it to be that close. I love that, though. They're both good names. Y'all came up with some good names for me. Gaku and Brain Jackery. Brain Jackery just sounds really cool. It sounds like a Pokemon almost. God, you can really tell I'm unmedicated now, can't you? I should probably close this off pretty soon before I make a fool of myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Alex was telling me he's my neighbor up north. Means you're Peruvian. No, Alex? Ooh, Alex is from Peru. Okay. So we got Chile and Peru. Very cool. Oh, Theo is French. Interesting. Anime subtitles and manga translations are not precise, clear enough for analysis compared to English. Interesting. Okay. So we got a Frenchie in here. Nice. I'm sorry that you are from the country that is the, as you're probably aware, if you're a thinker, this is basically the punching bag of the world, of like the historical world. I'm sure if you're from France, you're certainly aware. We all joke about the French. I mean, we love them, of course. We all love the French, but we also love to shit on the French. Just look at the 2 world wars. We really do love it, though. It's like the way I think of it as a uncultured American who's never even been to France. I see it like I see it like the Coast Guard. If you're American, you probably know, you may or may not know what I'm talking about. If you've been in the American military, you'll know. The Coast Guard is the punching bag of the military. It is the little brother that we all mess with, that we all tease and torment. Everyone clowns on the Coast Guard, but we do it lovingly, like, right? We're brothers. And that's how I see it, like, as a historian. That's how I see France. Like, we're all gonna make fun of France and have fun with it, especially when we get to the world wars. We're all gonna clown on France, but we love it, right? It's loving. It's not bullying. It's not bullying, I swear. We love them, but it is really funny that France is just the butt of so many historical jokes. Which is such a shame because they really done some great stuff. I mean, they're the reason why we won the revolution, right? So again, it's loving. Ooh, Alex has a question. As a historian and fan of the Fate series, are there any figures that interest you? Historical figure and one mythological legendary figure. Ooh, about the servants you know, are there any other that you like or find interesting as characters? So that's a really interesting question. I'm gonna answer it in a second, but I got to go on this French stuff. Hold on. Max, I'd be sorry if I were French too. I'm not French. Sweden is so small, I don't think we ever expect translations. We just learn English instead. Fair enough. Fully international community, right? I wasn't expecting that. Surprising, but it's great. I love it. I'll take the shot. It's funny. Exactly. That's the good way to go about life. If you're like the punchback of the group, take it, right? You can get hit by it. It's so much easier to live life if you just roll with the punches and if you just take the shots. And if you really want to, deal them back, right? Because that's that loving teasing that we do, right? I mean, you can get offended. You're fully in your rights to get offended, but isn't life so much fun when you don't? Isn't life so much fun when you take it and then you dish it back and then we're all just having fun messing with each other? That's the right way to live life. Now, as for Alex, if I had to pick one historical figure and one mythological figure of interest, I would say I'm like going through my fate grand order in my mind. I'm going through the list of servants I have. That's a tough one, actually. You should have asked this while I still had Ritalin in my system. Now it's hard to think about anything. You know, one character I really like in Fate, and I wish she had a little bit more, like, time in, like, the Fate in the Nasuverse. Matahari is a 1-star assassin. I don't know if she's, like, exists outside of Fate Grand Order. I don't think she does. But she's a character I'd love to learn more about. She's a really interesting character. And it's people like that who kind of live these like double-sided lives. Those are always really cool. A lot of these assassins have really cool stories. Not necessarily from Fate, but in general. Don't worry, most of my historical figures I know are from Fate. Ooh, another good one is Anastasia. Obviously from Russia, right? The Tsar, I believe the like daughter of the last Tsar or something like that. She's real. Yeah, I know she's real. Matahari's real. I mean, like, I don't know if she exists outside of Fate Grand Order and like other Nasuverse stories. I think she's original to Fate Go. But Anastasia is like also really interesting. Someone who kind of lived and experienced the end of like the Tsar regime. It's tragic. And also like people like Marie Antoinette is one of my favorite Fate Grand Order Fate characters. Fate servants. One of my favorite servants. I really like Marie Antoinette. Especially since she has like an alter form. I'm just isolating everyone who doesn't know Fate here, but people like Marie Antoinette, Anastasia, who saw the end of a regime and who weren't really part of it. These people who had to deal with the consequences either of others or inadvertently of themselves, right? Like, I think most people can agree Marie Antoinette did not deserve what happened to her. She did not cause these problems. You could argue she was a bystander, she allowed them to happen, but in the context there, similar to like how George Washington owning slaves is kind of a non-critique because it's just normal in that world. And I've heard that he was actually against it, but he lives in that world. You can't really argue, you shouldn't really judge him based off of your morals. You should judge him based off of the standards of his world. Of his time. And the same thing goes with someone like Marie Antoinette, which is why she's so interesting to me. These characters who suffer these consequences that we can look back and say they deserve it. But if you were in their perspective, like, did they really? Now, does them not deserving it mean they shouldn't have happened? No, I think it's, I mean, the French Revolution was a mess, right? An abject mess. But it led to a better world. So just because they don't deserve it doesn't mean I don't think it shouldn't have happened. I think both can exist, right? Both things can be true. So yes, those characters that are the most interesting to me, I think. Those tragic characters who aren't really responsible for what happened to them, necessarily. Who are kind of subjected to a fate from other people, right? Because of the perception of them, which is so cool to me. Oh, Max brings a Goodwin TV. Yeah. I do like him. I watched him for a little bit. I think I kind of fell out of him, especially when I was watching his MHA reactions, because I think his affect is a little too flat for me. He's a little too like detached from his, or he seems a little too detached from his emotions. He's not willing to like really get invested in a show often, or at least for MHA he doesn't seem able to. Because I was watching his season 3 stuff, and like when all this crazy stuff is happening, he's like still like making jokes. And I'm not, disclaimer, I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not criticizing him saying he shouldn't do this. Obviously, everyone can make whatever content they want, and they can react to things however they want. But I personally don't find it hard to watch somebody who like makes jokes when there's a serious emotional moment going on, or when something's super intense and they seem disconnected from it. That's why I don't really watch his reactions very much, because I don't really like those stuff. But his discussions and things he talks about, like as a teacher, are really interesting, and I really like that. So he's a really good one. He's a good one. I just don't really watch him anymore, personally. But yeah, he's got some great tangents. He's watching JJK Frieren and MHA. Yeah. Collab with him in analysis. that could be fun. It would be really cool to have like collab analyses. I don't think co-reactions would do well for me, though. I think my ADHD would make that a nightmare because I just would not be able to focus on the episode or what they're saying. But like a post-episode analyses with like 2 different reactors who love breaking things down would be really fun. That could be a really fun idea. Is there a chance for Strange Fate? Can't remember if you already mentioned that. Yes. I will be watching Strange Fake after I finish MHA Vigilantes, which I also need to get back to. It's going to go, if you go ahead and watch my poll video, if you haven't seen it before, I go through my different slots, but my Saturday slot, on top of now being my stream, which I might move to Sunday, we'll see. But my Saturday slot is my literally no one asked for this, where I'm just watching shows that are like, I'm watching for me, because I'm not really going to watch shows outside of this. So right now it's MHA Vigilantes, so I can have watched it. And after that, it'll be Strange Fate, because I love Fake. I love Fate. It's not going to get a lot of views. Not a lot of people are going to watch it. But I want to watch it, so I'm going to put it on this channel, because every show has at least something you can talk about. And if it doesn't, then it's not a very good show. But I think with enough digging, you can find stuff to talk about with any show, even shows that aren't a Frieren or a JJK per se. So yeah, it'll go in that slot afterwards. Which will probably be like maybe this summer, if not like a year from now at this rate. I'm really bad with watching Vigilantes. What country is Vinland Saga supposedly set in? Yeah, I can't really talk about that because I haven't like watched it yet, but I'm sure the commenters are gonna help you with that. Get your point with your take on Igu and TV. Can I jump to you after him too? Yeah. Again, there's nothing wrong with him. It is not a criticism of him. It's strictly what I enjoy watching, and it's why I make my content both analytical and reactionary, right? Like if you watch my reactions, I'm still gonna like freak out, and sometimes I'll even get out of my chair because I don't want to like be analytical and just have that be my personality. I love getting into stories. I love like really getting invested in them, and you'll see it. You'll see. Watch my Chainsaw Man movie reaction. I'm just devastated after the movie is done. So I want to feel all these things and have the analysis, and that's I think the biggest value my reactions contribute. And I hope you guys agree that you get both. You get your cake and eat it too. You get the crazy reactions, and then afterwards you get the great analysis. I hope I can provide that. And as Fresh Take mentions, Film Buff and Tiabu, I have not seen Film Buff. He seems really good though. Tiabu is, I wear my inspiration on my sleeve, right? Tiabu is my biggest inspiration. I love Tiabu. He really gets into his episodes and he provides great analyses afterwards. That is who I model myself after. I don't try to be like him, but I love Tiabu. He's great. If anyone in here somehow hasn't seen Tiabu, For the love of everything, please watch him. He is such a good reactor. Such a good reactor is saying people are bad reactors. He has so much value to his work. It's amazing. And a lot of shows I literally watched the first time through his reactions too. Because like me, he doesn't edit down his reactions. He does full reactions. So yeah, watch Tiabu if you haven't already. But I'm sure if you're here, you've probably seen him before. He's been around for years, longer than I have. Fresh take. Goodwin kind of pauses a lot and doesn't sit through the whole episode experience. Yeah, he's detached from the episode. I think that's pretty clear. It's not wrong, but it's just not how I enjoy it. Strange Fake is Fate at his best. I don't know like anything about Strange Fake, so I'm really excited to get there. You are a well-balanced reactor. Yeah, thank you, Alex. That's what I aim for. I want to provide all the different stuff. Like, I don't want you to watch me and be like, oh, he's very analytical, but we're not going to get much of a reaction from him. Like I've seen with Goodwin. I don't want that to be. I want you to be able to enjoy both of them for as they are. And I think I do a pretty good job with it. Even if my expression, my general affect isn't like super expressive, I think this channel has actually helped me with that a little bit. So, yeah. What do you think of the SOS Brothers if you've seen them? I love the SOS Brothers. They're a very different kind of analysis, right? They are very big on like, their biggest thing, I think, is their bouncing off of each other, but also predictions, right? They love like trying to guess where the story's going to go. And it's super fun listening to that and hearing them create these crazy theories, which is kind of the opposite of me, right? Because I almost go out of my way not to predict stuff. Just because I don't really care about that. I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in the analysis, which they don't do as much of. So I really like them. I don't include them when I say like Tibu's my big inspiration. I don't include the SOS Bros because their content is so inherently and fundamentally different from mine. But they are easily one of my favorite reactor channels on YouTube, without question. And I don't like how I say that despite not having watched them in like years. I wish I would go back to watching them more because I love watching their dynamic. It's so fun. It's so fun. They're so fun. They have huge repertoire of tropes in mind and like to see them. Yeah. And they're almost always wrong, but that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it. And in fact, that's even its own strength. You shouldn't judge your analysis, your predictions by how right they are, right? The value is not in being right. It's in the creative expression of trying to see where things are going. Huge recommend. I found him a little late. He just adds so much to every show he watches. I'd love to hear his insights. I assume you're talking about Film Buff Fresh Take. Well balance becomes a bit questionable when we, the International Paragraph Production Community, IPPC, I love it, is factored in. Yeah. I guess you guys do tend to tip the scales a little bit more on the analysis side, but to be fair, you can't really add the reaction side, can you? So I stay well balanced. My channel leans heavily into the analysis because of you guys, and we love it, right? You guys bring stuff that I could not bring to the table. The context, like obviously Alex talking about the cultural context and the language that I bring a tiny bit of, he brings a lot more of. Theo with his character analysis, that's so much more in depth than I could ever be. Like, these people bring things to the table, right? They build that analysis out, which is great. And yeah, it's maybe not super well balanced with the IPPC. Love that acronym. But yeah, it's great, right? We love it. It's different aspects of analysis, right? Different sides to it, building it out. So you could argue it's even more well balanced. It's not well balanced in like reaction analysis if we just treat it as a scale, but if we treat it as an overall discussion, it becomes even more well balanced because it becomes, well, not well balanced, but well rounded, because the analysis gets more well rounded, right? Because I couldn't really tell you what my analysis is more focused, like how Tiabu is generally more production focused and sometimes like story beat focused. SOS Bros, like I said, is prediction. Goodwin's is, I don't know, I haven't seen enough of his to say exactly what he is. I guess myself, I would be more philosophy focused, maybe something like that. Maybe, I guess that would be my focus. So you guys bringing these other elements makes the analysis more well-rounded, is how I see it. Some gnome brings discussion straight from the Fey realms in his backyard. His gnomes are well fed. Well, you bring in the Fey realms have a lot to say, clearly, from your discussion. So it's all interesting. It's all valuable. Max, a good one TV, his tangents for me. He does have pretty great tangents. Yeah, he does. His mind comes up some crazy stuff with what he watches, and that's valuable too. Exactly. All right, Brain Jackery is going back up to 56. It's getting a little bit more of that. 16 votes. I'm going to end that poll because I think I'm going to end it off right around here. We're at 2:45. I could make this push for 3 hours, but it would be a lot of me just sitting here and waiting for you guys to comment. And you guys are probably fine with that, but it makes me super insecure when I'm just standing here reading it, waiting for something to reply to. And I've talked about my thing. So yeah, I'm going to leave it off here. So thank you all so much for coming here, for joining me, for watching this. It's been an absolute blast. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And I hope you enjoy this new format I'm doing where I'm like, have a main thing to talk about. And then I go into the comments after it or like during it. I hope you guys like that. If there's something you think you can improve on, here's my spiel at the end of the episode. If there's something about the episode that I missed, something I don't talk about, something that I misinterpreted, which happens all the time. If there's something I said that you agree or disagree with, give the whole spiel, please do let me know. I would love to see how you think this could get better because it's obviously, as you can tell, I'm new to streaming. This is like my third ever stream. So I would love to hear your feedback of how I can get better. And if you're watching this on YouTube, same thing, right? I would love to see how I can get better. That's the best thing about having a critical mind. You're always looking for something you can improve on. So yeah, leave your thoughts. I'd love to see it. And I hope to see you if you're not on this live stream. And if you are on this live stream, for everyone, I hope to see you next Saturday for the next live stream. It's a lot of fun. I will tell you probably around like Wednesday or so, maybe. Actually, I'll probably do Friday before the stream. I will say what I'm going to be talking about. I'll bring up my topic. And so you guys can like think about it beforehand and we can have great discussions from that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Just going to say a little farewell to everyone who's leaving comments here. We've got Some Known, Max Godard, Theo, Fresh Take, Alex, Fresh Take, the strongest part of this community. This channel is the community interactions. Absolutely. Could not agree more. Theo, 4 p.m. is 10 p.m. So good night. Yeah. Well, it's 6:49 for me right now, so it's probably midnight for you. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And until then, wherever I see you next, have a lovely rest of your day.